I am recording.
I am recording. Ba, ba, ba. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 646th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, Steve. With me is Hannah.
I am here. When we last recorded, I don't think I really had conceptualized how long a time it would be in between then and now, but it's been a while.
It was only 3 episodes in one weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
Bobby also here.
Yeah, I am back in my office. I was in a garage for the last 3 weeks.
If you hadn't said that, no one would know.
True, but now I'm here with pictures behind me. More pictures behind me.
It was actually the
Bobby
first
on the
time in 3 weeks Bobby has left his garage. He's back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in Japan for 2 weeks for the Safari. What was it? Safari Zone?
Wild area?
Wild area. Oh yeah, wild area. Not to
The
be
Safari
confused
Ball
with-
really gets you.
Yeah, there was a
confused, yeah.
Safari Ball, but not for the Safari Zone. It was for the wild area, because that makes sense. And don't confuse Safari Zone with City Safari. Those are different,
But
which is different than a Unova Tour.
it wasn't a Safari Ball, Steve. It was a Go Safari Ball, and we
Oh,
would know
yeah,
that
that's
because
true.
of the giant Go printed on the side of the Safari Ball.
And the fact that you can't transfer them.
Well, almost.
Fair.
Yeah, we'll probably talk a little bit about that, but because Niantic announced the Unova Tour, we're going to talk about that. We have some more TCG Pocket. We have a whole schedule for the rest of the year for Scarlet and Violet, leading up to Shiny Rayquaza. So we're going to go through all that. I know Ilka is taking over Pokemon Sleep and everyone is upset. We will talk about that next week. I know that that's a thing. I know that is breaking news. We just have a lot to talk about with Unova Tour, Pocket, and the rest of Scarlet and Violet for the rest of the year. Because I don't think we're getting any more Scarlet and Violet news after this giant dump.
Probably
Maybe
not.
in January, but I think they've kind of, like the summer event, they kind of were like, here's what you're getting. So we'll go through all of that. Yeah, so that's our show for the day. I guess let's start off with the Pokemon Go stuff. There was the Safari Ball in the wild area.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately, a couple days after wild area ended, they announced Pokemon Go Unova Tour, which I think the surprising thing here is... Well, one, I don't think anyone was surprised it was going back to L.A. because New York in February sounds miserable weather-wise.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I think the surprise is not only are they doing it in L.A., but they're doing it in New Taipei City, which is cool that they're doing it in 2 locations this time. Before we dive too deep into that, did you both participate in the wild area? Did you get wild in the area of the wild area?
Hannah, you can start.
This was the biggest Pokemon event that I barely participated in.
What?
I missed most of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I had too many other things going on, did not plan well. I'm gonna have to trade for some of these Pokemon, I think.
Wow.
The like shinies or like the Gigantamax? What do you feel you're missing? Toxtricity?
Mostly Toxtricity, Toxel. I really didn't want to miss out on like the Dynamax and seeing all of the raids, but I opened the app maybe a couple of times.
Did you buy a ticket?
I might have.
Oh, no.
The ultimate sin.
Ahead of
Niantic
time.
wins again.
And then I forgot. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Really
Wow.
lost out on this one.
What a twist. What a twist. I did not expect that.
Had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Still kind of, yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, that's
Plus,
understandable.
TCG Pocket has been most of my mobile Pokemon gaming time at this point, honestly.
That was a lot going on. She was just playing TCG Pocket for 2 days straight.
Riding out for promo packs.
Looking for that gold Mewtwo so that I can grind it up.
That's right. We'll talk about that after the break, the Pocket stuff. Bobby, how was your wild area in sunny California?
Yeah. It was really fun, actually. I will say I enjoyed. So I wasn't planning on playing it a whole bunch, but I decided to take a couple hours on.
But you heard Hannah wasn't playing, so you're like, I gotta make up for her.
Exactly. Exactly. So I took a couple hours on Saturday and went over to my local park, which in Pokemon Go terms, it's like the Mall of America. It's like Steve's Mall of America. Like, it's the place where you go to play, and there's just a bunch of stuff happening. Like, there's a bunch of stops, a bunch of gyms. There's a bunch of people there, always for these events. So I decided to go over there. I had no intention of doing a Gigantamax raid because, again, I wasn't meeting up with people. I didn't think we'd be able to do it. And I actually got a Gigantamax Toxtricity. Like, I was kind of surprised. Had to do a couple of them. The first one, we had 22 people and lost in like a minute and a half because no one knew. I had no idea who anybody else was in the raid.
I can answer this for you, Bobby. No one knows type weakness or resistance, so they're bringing Charizards who are weak to electric, and they're bringing Sobbles also weak to electric to a Toxtricity raid.
I assume that's exactly what happened. So that failed, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to try this again. Like, whatever. So I continued playing, and then later got to another gym and tried it again. Only 17 people this time, but we beat it, and I was surprised because I was like, what? Like, that's not supposed to work that way.
Was that your first Gigantamax success?
My first Gigantamax. That was my second Gigantamax raid ever. My first one was the Toxtricity from an hour prior.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I didn't do Gengar, and I didn't go out for the 3 starters. So that was cool. I was the only person on my team of 4 using anything other than an attack. And again, I didn't know who anyone else was. I was just in a,
Were you the
around.
tank?
So yeah.
I don't know why at this point I would ever power up Max Strike or Attack, because I've only ever hit Max Guard and Max Spirit because no one else.
Because nobody else does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hit it, you're like, we're winning because of this. It's because of me.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was cool. I will say, okay, so I think there's the big pro for me was I thought the mighty Pokemon were really cool. Like, I thought how good their stats were and how high level they were was awesome. So it's like, oh, I have like a Mamoswine that's just raid ready. Like, I don't have to like do anything to it. It's just ready to like raid now. Same with a couple other things. It was just nice. And then having those Safari Balls, you could catch them really easily. I will say, like, paid ticket versus non-paid seemed like a huge difference, because at the end of each day I had like 150 Safari Balls. And then I heard people that were like, I had 2 for the day or something, and it was like, oh, okay. Like, so that seemed like maybe a little off. Between paid and non-paid.
Like, disclosure, Niantic did not pay for me to. I wish they did. They did not pay for me to go to Japan. They did not pay for my flight or my hotel. That was all out of my own money, which is funny because they did pay for me to go to Jakarta, and I think, and that was an expensive trip because Niantic loves to wait last minute to pay for things, and then they're like, "This is kind of expensive," and I'm like, "You kind of waited last minute." But like, I think this event was one of the best events this year. Personally. Okay. And I don't think it was because I was in Japan specifically, because some people were like, do you think you had a better experience like in walking around Tokyo than you did at Mall of America? And honestly, I think Mall of America is still a better experience.
Wait, excuse me?
Well, like, where I originally played, I started off at the Mega Pokemon Center Mega Tokyo. That's what it is.
Yes,
I was like,
that.
what's the name of it?
Yep.
That one. It is the
Sounds
biggest
right.
Pokemon Center in Tokyo. I wanted to start there because on Saturday they were launching the gold and silver merchandise for the 25th year. And I was like, I was talking to my friend Julie, who lives in Japan, and she was like, it's impossible. You won't be able to get it. She's like, everyone who waits in line is just resellers. And I was like, capitalism. This is, we have this in America too, Julie. Like, this is not.
Do they not have a lottery?
They do not
Usually-
have a lottery for this launch.
Interesting.
And I've been to this Pokemon Center many times. I was actually at the Pokemon Center like the day before. And it was like pretty empty because it was like 7:00 at night. The small, for whatever reason, the small closes at 8, which like most malls close at like 9. But I was like, I just want to see what a launch of a new merchandise line looks like at a Pokemon Center. The event starts at 10. The mall opens at 10. Also, that Pokemon Center has like 3 gyms. That mall in total has like 5 gyms, and then there's a bunch of gyms around it. I was like, it has to be like a decent place to start because I don't know where in Tokyo to ideally play. Like, I guess I could have went to like a subreddit or something and like looked it up, but I was like, I just want to I want to start here. It was indeed a great place to play because when I got to that Pokemon Center, not only was there a line wrapped around the entire Pokemon Center, it was wrapped around the entire Pokemon Center 4 times.
Nice.
All the way around. It was insane. And when you got into the Pokemon Center, it was just another line. It wasn't like you got in and you could like shop. It was
Yeah.
like you got in and you waited in a
The
long
only
line.
reason you were going. Yeah.
Just absolutely insane. I was told that that's one of the worst malls to go to for a new launch because the mall will open early for mall walkers.
Yeah.
Whereas other malls will like no one can get in until the whole mall opens, which is
Then you're just waiting in a giant line right outside
Yeah.
the door of the mall anyways, right? Like,
I don't know. So
Okay.
but it was really cool to see, and I was able to do plenty of Toxtricities, and then that's like the weird. I don't know if it's a weird thing, but like I don't think anyone likes to do an 8-hour event in the same location. Maybe if you're like a hardcore grinder and you are just like head down, I want as many shinies as possible. This is the optimal like I want to min-max this event, maybe.
yeah.
Like
If
you
you're
could
with a good group
min-max.
of friends and have a picnic prepared. I think that's the only time.
But like
Sure.
I was probably there for maybe in Ikebukuro, which is the city it's in. I was probably there for maybe like 3-ish hours. And then I had like a small problem with my stream backpack. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go back to the hotel and drop some stuff off and then fix the stream backpack. That'll be like 10 minutes. And then I'm going to go somewhere else. And I was like, oh, there's an Anchor store in Harajuku. They sell like exclusive Pokemon Anchor merchandise. I was like, maybe I'll just run there and see if they have it. That'd be fun for stream. I could show stream. Like, also Harajuku is like a very busy place, and right? Went there.
Yep.
An absolute nightmare on Saturday. There was a line to get into the train station to get onto the train. The line was outside to get in. I've never seen it so busy, and it was actually like there were still like Toxtricity raids and stuff when I was in by the Pokemon Center, all filling up, instant 40, instant 40, instant 40. I couldn't even get 20 people in Harajuku, even though I couldn't walk. Like there were just so many people. Like it was like demographic wise, probably like obviously the giant mall with the biggest Pokemon Center would have a bunch of Pokemon fans that are doing this, where like this very touristy street food location, with it's more like fashion based, has people playing Pokemon, but more tourists than Pokemon players. I don't know. So like that was like an hour, 2 hours of my day, and then I don't remember where we went. And again, it was like an okay place to play, but I think like the benefit of Mall of America and why like somebody came in and was like, do you think this is better than Mall of America? Because I was like going all over the place. And I think like Mall of America works because the spawn density is so high, and Mall of America is just big enough where when you complete an entire circle, everything resets because it's been long enough for the circle. And so it's nice because Mall of America also has like 7 or 8 gyms and then like 8 Dynamax spawns. So like when something pops, there's not like, it's like, oh, it's only going to take me like 5 minutes to walk to that side. Whereas like when you're in a city, it's like, well, I have to wait for the street to cross, and then like timers are a lot shorter because I think most of the raids were what, like 15, 20 minutes before they rotated out, and it's like, I don't know if I can get there in time.
Something like that, yeah.
Especially with like Gigantamax raids, because like even if you have 40 people and some of them are bad, you're like, I'm in this Gigantamax raid for like 5 to 6 minutes before like when all is said and done, right? You have to wait for the timer, you go through the motions of the raid, you go through the catch screen, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's been like a full 7 minutes from start to stop. And you're like, I don't know if I can get to this Snorlax raid that's, 5 blocks away. That's going to end in 6 minutes.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the event. The event itself was good.
The event was good, except for I think the one con that I had for the event was I didn't like the lack of spawn diversity. So again,
I agree.
I knew going into this, it was like, okay, it's only going to be poison types. It's only going to be electric types. I'm okay with even that. Like, I'm okay with them having like kept it like focused on 2 types because obviously it's just like toxicity is a theme and they want to do poison electric. But there are a lot of poison. We know there are a lot of poison Pokemon in Pokemon, and there are a lot of electric Pokemon. I feel like because what it was like 1 hour of poison, 1 hour of electric for the whole 8 hours, and then the next day the whole 8 hours was again 1 hour poison, 1 hour of electric. I feel like they could have
doing
done
that. Also, not moving locations for 8 hours. You're gonna get the same location for 8 hours, and you have the same spawns for 8 hours.
Right, right. So I feel like because some people were saying like, oh, they could have switched them for day 2, and it's like, nah, I don't know that would have been good if you couldn't only play one of the days. But like they could have done like
better
poison
spawn
group
pools.
1 in 1 hour, and then electric group 1, and then a new group of poison Pokemon or something.
Oh,
like there are so many they could have done. It didn't need to just be like 9 poison Pokemon and 9 electric Pokemon the entire
And there were a lot that
weekend.
had community days.
Yeah.
So there were a lot that people just weren't as interested in when it comes to the spawn pool.
I'm also convinced that Marini was not boosted compared to everyone else. I can't prove that, but
Did you not get a Marini? Did you not get a shiny Marini?
I got 1 Marini out of 4 days of playing because I went to the in person, obviously, and the not. There's a couple things about the event that stand out to me. One, I think. Why I brought up Niantic didn't pay for any of my stuff is one, I like to do that disclosure. But 2, I did pay for the extra Safari Ball bonus, the $2 for like 4. I think it was 4 extra. Look, was it a waste of money? Yes. Have I wasted money on worse things? Totally. Like for $2, it's like innocent enough where I didn't feel like completely ripped off.
Yeah.
But I also ended each day with 60 plus Safari Balls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the last hour of almost every day, I'm just going to catch everything in Safari Ball because I'm just burning through. And that was nice. It was like a nice luxury to have because it was almost guaranteed catch for every common Pokemon. So you're just fast catching the last hour and just ripping through these Safari Balls. So that was like nice. I don't think it's that harmful. Like maybe other people have optimized their Safari Balls, but getting an extra 4 for 8 hours for the entire weekend was fine. Like I think 99% of people don't need to spend that $2. And if you did spend that $2, again, I think it was a better deal than like 2 Poffins like in the store.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people had issue with the fact that like the Safari Ball Pokemon don't transfer to home. And so there was a lot of talk about that. I think I get it. You want some people want to, they catch something, they want to transfer it to home. Like personally, like especially with like the mighty Pokemon, it's like the main purpose for those to me is for things like raiding, like for things that are going to happen in Pokemon Go. Like I can get all of those Pokemon in other Pokemon games and then have them in home. But it's like, I get that, oh, well, now it's in a Safari Ball. I can't transfer it to home. But for me, it's like most of that's going to be used on Go anyway. And I feel like a lot of Go players are probably in a similar way. Like I would say a lot of Go players just play Pokemon Go and maybe play other things, but I don't know how many, like what the ratio of Go players who are also like Pokemon Home subscribers are. I feel like that might be on the lower side, honestly.
I don't think the Safari Ball thing is that big of a deal. Like, I'm sure it will eventually update.
Are you?
Maybe not, though.
A million %.
You think so?
Yes. Like, it's a new Pokeball that Ilka has to, like, accept and program, right? And you can make the argument of, like, well, they saw it coming. They should know that it's coming. Poipole has been in the game for like 10 years. Cosmog has been in the game for like 10 years. And you could not transfer those from Go to that because Ilka has to like go into home and like approve the transfer and all that stuff. And like, what was it? Poipole, we had to wait like a month for. Cosmog, we had to wait like 2 months for before they got approved for transfer.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I don't like.
Yeah,
Wasn't there a different reason for those not being able to be transferred though?
You could like argue that it was like story reason.
Yeah, because you needed to have the Pokemon to continue the research story.
You didn't need to. But we're also up to like 3 or 4 Cosmogs now?
At this point, yeah.
Not enough Cosmogs, that's for sure.
But like those 2 examples, there are probably more examples of Pokemon that could not be transferred over right away.
Maybe.
Yeah, but this is slightly different with the Pokeball being the issue. They never really fully integrated.
The games have like 300 different Pokeballs. You're telling me
and
that
they
like
didn't
Ilka
work
can't
with the
figure out how
Legends
to...
Arceus ones.
But they do work with the Legends Arceus ones.
They
That's
do,
what the
but they
Strange Ball is.
change. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So will
like,
this just
that's why
change into a Strange Ball?
Yeah, that's all they have to do. Like everything is there. They just have to turn it on.
But I guess the way I was seeing the Go Safari Ball was that they made that specifically because they didn't want these Pokemon to be transferred for some reason. That otherwise they would have just put it in a standard Safari Ball.
No, I don't. Well, maybe
I don't see it as that. No,
but I don't because, I don't think that they. Maybe because when you recatch it, and so the thing you can do, which people figured out, is that you can transfer these Pokemon to Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee if they are Kanto Pokemon, right? So there's like
or Meltan.
See, Ilka not involved. Look at the signs.
Right. But the thing about Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee is when you transfer them in, you have to recatch them. So you're recatching them in a ball from that game, and then they can then be transferred to home and on to the newer games at that point. So if you have Pokemon that can go into Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and they're in a Go Safari Ball right now, you can transfer them to that game. I don't feel like that was like a missed thing by the company. Like, I don't think they were like, oh, we didn't think of that when they did this. So I do wonder why. And so, Steve, you just think they're going to do it eventually? You think they just haven't coded it in on the home side yet?
As soon as whatever the next major update to Pokemon Home is, they'll be like, you can transfer it over now.
Okay, well, I guess we will see.
I don't. Why would they not let you transfer it over?
No,
too much work.
Too much work. Yes.
They're like, we're taking over Pokemon Sleep. We can't passively manage one extra ball.
I guess I don't know. I don't know why. Well, I think that's why people were so frustrated about it. Because, like, exactly why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. They're not special Pokemon or anything. It's just the ball. Why not have it go over to home? But we'll see, I guess.
I guess Safari Balls are a limited resource that they don't want to have more of in there. I had 150 per day that I was ending with. No, I meant in the main series.
Yeah, sure. Right. Well, yeah, again, I think it's not a Safari Ball, right? So I really do think like it would become like a Strange Ball or something.
Yeah.
I don't
At
think
this point, I do think that it would become a Strange Ball, and I think that's why they made it the Go Safari Ball and not just the standard one.
And the text, they wanted that nice big GO on this side of the Safari Ball.
I don't like the adding. I don't know what the actual logical reason of like needing to add the word "go" to the Pokeball is, but like we are 8 years into this game, and how many Pokeballs do we really have? And there's like so many more Pokeballs to come, and I think Niantic realized it took them long enough to realize that like Beast Balls were just cool. And so like if you want to make an event fancy, you can like just be like, well, this event is like the luxury event, and for the first time ever you can have luxury balls. And like I don't think
They found another thing they can drip feed.
Yes. And I don't think it's going to be like, well, we got all of these balls to work, and now we have this Go Safari Ball. That one doesn't work. But when we do introduce Luxury Ball and Heal Ball and Net Ball, those will all work. I just don't think there will be like one Pokeball that suddenly like restricts half your collection to go into Pokemon Home. I just don't think that's like a realistic thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess
the
we'll see.
Safari Ball thing is weird. I for one am glad that it was there, because if I didn't see the Go on the side of the Safari Ball, I would have thought I was playing Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
You know,
They don't want that.
The lack of confusion there by seeing that.
I do want to say that I did 55 Gigantamax Toxtricity
Wild.
for that event. I don't know what it is about people. We can just add the sentence there. I'm like standing in Akihabara and I'm like doing a Toxtricity. I'm with a friend, and I'm like, and she doesn't want to do any Toxtricity. She's like, I'm not giving Niantic any more money for max particles. And I was like, totally fair. I just want the other. I've shiny. I don't even know which one. I have the blue one, I think. I was like, I don't want the yellow shiny. I was like, all right, you can sit here and drink your 7-Eleven coffee. I'm gonna run and do this Toxtricity. So I'm like on my way to the Toxtricity, and I jump in. There's like 36 people. I'm like 37. 20 seconds left. It fills up to 40. And somebody in my chat was like, must be nice to have friends. Like, it's like this bitterness of like, I'm sure you live in like a small town and you can't get 40 people.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
What friends, man? I can't even speak the language.
Yeah.
I don't know where that like bitterness comes from of just like, I get it that you can't do this feature that requires people. I understand, but like, I've done a lot of Gmax raids, as I just said. I've talked to no one to do this. I have coordinated with 0 people. I have either opened up Campfire and went, well, it looks like there's people going to be here at 2:00. And then I just show up and I am part of that mob that shows up. Or I just go, this is a pretty busy area of the city. People are doing this raid. I will jump in and also do this raid. Out of the 55 I did, I think I maybe failed 4 or 5. Like, we either didn't have enough people or something went wrong, and then you just jump back in and you do it again. So I do think there's, I said this a couple weeks ago. I think it's, as we move on to Dynamax Lapras, which is coming out soon.
Gigantamax Lapras.
Yeah, Gigantamax Lapras, sorry. That Niantic doesn't need to lower the difficulty because there's a certain threshold.
Yep.
The Tyranitar example I used. You know, when Tyranitar first came out, it was like, oh my gosh, we need 8 people to do Tyranitar. We're never going to be able to do this. It's so hard. And all of a sudden, like, Tyranitar is just trivial. Like, I think that mountain has mostly been climbed, where everything going forward should be a lot easier because people have at least a couple Pokemon that work in
Yeah.
some sort of combination.
Because people have built up Pokemon to using these raids and actually understand how it works now,
Yeah.
which
Well,
was not the case.
I don't know if everyone understands how it works, but
Yeah,
enough
but
people
enough people.
understand. I am still the only one hitting Max Strike Max Guard and Max Spirit.
Yeah. That'll come with time. More time.
Maybe.
Maybe. A lot more time.
But yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up before I think we move on from this event, because there's like I don't know. I thought it was an okay event. I think the spawns were the weakest part.
Mm-hmm.
I think this event with the Safari Balls, I think I don't want to say it's like hinting with my tinfoil hat. I think we are getting to a point where they're going to raise the level cap again from 50 to 60. And I think this event is laying that. This event was the start of that foundation. I think the mighty Pokemon were great. There's something very satisfying about catching a Pokemon who's like level 48 and like 98% IVs with like the move that is the best move, like for alligator, it's like Hydro Cannon. And being like, oh, I only need to put in like 60 XL candy to top this off to 50 versus, oh, I need 248 XL candy to get this to level 50.
So, real quick question about that. I had heard that the in-person event, the mighty Pokemon could be up to level like 45 or something, but in the global event, they weren't as high. Like, I don't have any I'm pretty sure I don't have any Pokemon from those mighty ones that are over level 40.
The global event was nerfed mighty Pokemon wise, which like makes sense because they always want the in-person people to like feel like they got their money's worth.
Yeah,
for
they got
traveling.
something that's extra that isn't like so much so that all the global people are angry about it. But
Yeah. I definitely caught for the global event at level like 44 or 45 Pokemon.
Oh, really? Maybe it was maybe it was that the level, maybe there was a difference in like, I don't think you could get something above like 45 in the global event, but you could in the in-person event or something like that.
I got like 4 level 50s in person.
Okay. Sorry. So it was 40 to 45 was global, but I think if you were in the in-person event, you could catch things between 45 and 50.
Yeah,
or something
and there was
that.
like a small issue where Snorlax could be like level 53 or 54, and
that's the leak. They're like, oh no, whoops, we're not supposed to release that because there's not level 60 yet.
Yeah. I do think though, like, so next year will be the 9th anniversary of Pokemon Go. I don't think the level cap will happen then. I think the level cap will happen for the 10th year. I think that's a huge like 10-year celebration. So I do think all of next year, mighty Pokemon will be a gimmick that will exist at events. Maybe not like Unova Tour, which we still haven't talked about yet, but I think if you get players to catch more level 40 Pokemon and have that, and then you can start introducing more end game content where it's like they don't feel like they have to catch up, right?
Yeah.
For me, maybe not that impactful because I've already had level 50 Pokemon as a level 50 player, right? But I would imagine if somebody just started playing this game 2 years ago and now they did that weekend and they have, 8 or 9 level 40 Pokemon or 42, that's a huge jump for them to be able to do raids easier. Those Tyrannitars are not going to stand a chance when they come back. Like, I think it was just a cool thing that they did that didn't like rely on, well, this event is just another shiny event. And that's what I told people coming in when they came into like my Fukuoka streams, and they were like, hey, is this event worth it? Should I buy the ticket next week? And I was just like, if you only care about shiny Pokemon, I don't think this event is worth it. Unless like you really like shiny Venipede, I guess, may like eat your heart out. But like if you wanted,
Who doesn't?
if you wanted strong Pokemon, if you wanted if you cared about like Gigantamax stuff, if you wanted just more Stardust, more experience, if you just wanted to like grind everything that wasn't shiny, I think the event was great. And if people looked at it like that and that's what they wanted, I think they would have probably enjoyed it. But if you only cared about shiny Pokemon, you're like, I don't care about level 50, I don't care about level 40, I don't care about Stardust. I never power up anything anyways. I could 100% see why you'd be like, I didn't really like this event.
Well, what I like about the event is that they didn't direct you toward things being like that everything was about it being shiny. They gave us something new that made the event feel like, oh, I don't need to just go shiny hunt. Like there are other things that they made feel important. They made the mighty Pokemon feel important, so then it became, oh, I can hunt these mighty Pokemon and get these really high level, super high IV Pokemon that are raid ready, that are just, they made that feel important. And that was a big part of like how they did it, because they could have just made this another, oh, go hunt a bunch of shiny Pokemon. That's done so well for them over time. But it was nice to see them change, in a way, like change the focus of the event so that it wasn't so focused on that. And maybe there's a part of like the fact that there wasn't the spawn diversity that led to that, because of that, there was like, well, I can go get these shiny Pokemon, but it's like every hour I'm seeing the same Pokemon. But these mighty Pokemon are more rare. They're different stuff. There's a lot of raids. I mean, this was a very raid heavy event, in my opinion, between the Dynamax, Gigantamax, and just regular raids.
And Snorlax.
Especially global, with Snorlax being in raids, which I got a shiny one. I was happy about that.
Nice.
But yeah, so it was definitely a more raid heavy event. But I did appreciate that it wasn't, as I say, like I got a shiny one. It wasn't so focused on the shiny Pokemon as much as other stuff, which is good. And I feel like they need to maybe lean into that going forward, because shiny Pokemon, you're gonna run out eventually. Like you don't like stay in that one focus.
They were still kind of leaning into shinies though, because the mighty Pokemon could be shiny, and people were excited about that.
They are, but in past, it's like that's almost been the only thing they've like made focus on. Whereas this, Bobby, it was like there were other things where if I got a mighty Pokemon and it was shiny, like even better. But I wasn't expecting it, and it was just wanting to catch the mighty Pokemon more than anything else. So I appreciated that. Hope they lean into that more.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I think I was also playing with somebody that they didn't care about raids, they didn't care about shinies, but they said their favorite part was activating Dialga and just like waiting for one of the birds to appear with the adventure incense. Yeah. Because they were like, because the Safari Ball was so powerful, they were like, I just finally feel like I have a chance to catch the birds. Yep. And that is exciting to me. And that was like a really interesting thing to like hear of like, because I think the birds are so hard to catch, people just get discouraged, or they're like, I'm not even going to bother. It's going to show up. And like, also there's the thing of like, I don't want to spend money for a Master Ball, or like, I only have 2 Master Balls. So like, what's the point? Because like when the third one shows up, I won't have a Master Ball for it. But they like literally both days, they just maxed out their rare candy Dialga. They turned on their adventure incense. They let it go. And they were just like, I'm doing bird watch all weekend.
Did they succeed?
They got, I think, 2 Moltres and 2 Articuno.
Wow.
So they didn't have Zapdos appear, but like
still, that's a lot.
Like more excited I saw a person versus like getting a shiny. They were just so excited when like, oh my gosh, the bird had popped up and they Golden Raz Safari Ball caught it, and I was like, that was exciting to them. Yeah, and
Niantic is in control of like that experience to an extent, right? They can make remember when everybody was like Mareep was rare and everyone wanted a Mareep, and it was so hard to get a Mareep, and then you go play the main series and it's like, oh, they're everywhere. Like Niantic controls that, right? They don't like, you can make something, it doesn't have to just be a shiny thing. You can make other things the focus, or you can make other things work in a way that gets people excited about it without it just being shiny. And I feel like
time that does get tiring after a while, like the drip feed of the Pokemon. I'm thinking of the dragons specifically. Like every year, the dragon type Pokemon.
Oh,
the Pokemon that everybody wants when they first come out, but then at Go Fest or some event, they make them raid exclusive, and you can get the shiny that way. But then the shiny is more available the next year because it's part of the event as a spawn, and that's exciting at first. And then you learn that it's raid exclusive, and it'll just be more available later.
But it's but again, that's going back into the thing that people are going after for that is the shiny. What I'm saying is, like, do these things that move away from that, right? And like the Galarian birds are an example of that. I mean, definitely people were frustrated because you couldn't get the Galarian birds to show up. I was one of them for like 2 months before I caught a Zapdos, like using the daily adventure incense every day. But I'm just saying, like, there are other ways to get people excited about these things that don't have to be shiny related, and I don't
disagree. I'm just saying that they're all gonna get to be more mundane over time.
And then Niantic's job is to figure out how to then
keep
change
finding
that,
more things. Yeah,
change it up, and then focus on something new or add a new ball or whatever they have to do. But like, just make it so that it's not shiny stuff that everybody is like going after all the time. We did that for 8 years, right? Like, move on to something else.
They are actively trying. We have extra small, we have extra large, we have Gigantamax, we have Dynamax.
It's true.
I'm sure Z moves and terrestrialization. They can do all the hats they want eventually when they get to that.
They need Z moves. We need Z moves. Alola forever.
Yeah, you have to move your phone in the right.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll run through what you can expect at Unova Tour, and then we'll do our Pocket stuff and then our Scarlet and Violet stuff. We'll be right back. And we are back from our break. Pokemon GO Tour Unova in Los Angeles, which is actually Pasadena, not technically LA.
True.
And then New Taipei City is the other experience. It's going to be in the Rose Bowl again, February 21st through 23rd, which I think is different than last year. If I remember last year, it was only Saturday and Sunday, and then Friday was like an optional city experience you could like buy. This is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the extra cities would just be the one day you don't play. And unless I'm wrong, it's all day in the park versus Fukuoka, and a lot of like Go Fest, which was 4 hours in the park and then 4 hours outside of the park, and then you could add on the city experience. So this is 3 days, but your day is all day in the park.
And you can buy the city experience for the other 2 days if you want. So you can buy it it is extra per day, but you can buy it for the other 2 days that you're not in the park as well.
Yeah. So I will say I will die on this hill. If you can go to the non-weekend event, aka Friday, that will be the better day. It will be less busy. It will be easier to get in and out of traffic. There will be less people if you don't want if that's what you prefer. You might like less people because that means less people waiting for food, which means you get your food faster, which means you can play Pokemon more. If there are any issues, you do get it, but Niantic has always been very good at extending your gameplay.
Yeah.
So I do think if you are going to travel for the weekend, if you have any ability to add an extra day so you could play on Friday, I think that is the day you pick. I think as of recording this, Saturday pre-sales are already sold out anyways. Saturday is the busiest day. It always is. So, and of course, like, it's definitely weather specific. So hopefully it doesn't rain.
It'll probably be okay. But yeah,
yeah,
you never know.
I think last year it rained on Monday, which was like my like extra day to just like hang out in California, and I was like, oh, of course, the one weekend I'm here, it's actually like raining.
I will say the the citywide experience,
the wild area.
Yeah, when you purchase those for the days that you're not in the event, it does say that it covers anywhere in Los Angeles or Orange County, if you're not from Southern California, that is a large area. It is not just a city. That is a large area of, so if you're in, or if you're not even staying in Los Angeles, if you're more toward south, toward like Orange County, and you can still do all the spawns and things like that, you don't have to be in Los Angeles on the days that you're not in the park, from what it says on the information. So just a note, like, it does say city experience, it extends to Orange County, which is like further south than Los Angeles. So if you happen to, be staying somewhere for that weekend and
did it not
flip
work
it
in
south, you can do that.
Like, technically, Anaheim is not Los Angeles, but it worked in Anaheim.
Correct. Anaheim is Orange County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we did last year, we had it's like an ISE meetup in Anaheim, but you played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. So two different places, but in Anaheim was where we met up, it's where Disneyland is. It's that area. And you can get all the city experience stuff there as well, because that is in Orange County. So just make that as a note if you're going to be around. I think you can even, like, in Disneyland, you should be able to get the spawns then. So if you made a weekend out of it and you wanted to go to Disneyland Day, you should be able to get the spawns for the citywide experience, because that is part of Orange County.
I will say, like, as somebody who's been to a lot of Go events, I think the Rose Bowl is a pretty okay place to play, honestly. As like one, it makes Randall's Island is a dump compared to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I do like the concept of playing near a stadium. So like, if you didn't go last year for Sinnoh Tour, you enter where the stadium is, where the Rose Bowl stadium is, and then the golf course next to it was also the majority play area. So the actual center of the Rose Bowl was like mostly like photo ops and like community meetups and stuff for like pictures. But all around the Rose Bowl, you could just do a circle and like catch stuff, because the Rose Bowl was its own biome, and then the golf course was like 3 other biomes. But the cool thing is, because the Rose Bowl is a stadium, it has all of those bathrooms built in, which is like much better than the porta potty situation that you would get at like Las Vegas or Randall's Island. And then also, because it is a stadium, all of those like food places, not all of them, but the majority of them open. So you have all the food trucks, but then you also have the stadium food that is opened. And then on top of that, which you don't even think about until like you play, until I played here last year, is because it's a stadium, they just have like 80,000 seats, which is like amazing at an event where you're walking, to be like, I can actually find a place to sit down, and I just bought this $30 hot dog, and I can sit down and eat it and not have to worry about like finding somewhere to eat this hot dog. Like, it's just really nice to be like, I can sit down.
Yeah. And on top of that, I imagine the cell service was probably pretty good, because being an 80,000 person stadium that has that many people at it every weekend, they have in the recent years made the cell service better in these stadiums for those people. So it's not like they've not dealt with a large amount of people trying to use their phones at the same time.
Yeah, I don't remember any cell phone issues.
Yeah, that would make sense in a place like the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense, because giant parks don't have the same sort of experience there. People aren't going to be looking for food all the time. People aren't going to be looking to sit down all the time. But in a stadium, you have all of this ready to go.
Yeah, it's really great. I will say at Fukuoka, I didn't really talk about the in-person experience, but when I got, I don't know why I go to these events early, because there's always like a tech issue. So when I got there, like I'm
person telling everyone to go to this new event on the first day.
Yeah. It's only like the first 15 minutes, and then it gets fixed. So I get there to Fukuoka, and like my entire stream there, because I'm like streaming myself, because it's like a 15-minute walk from the nearest train station, because it's in a park. Everything's working fine, and then as soon as we get into the park, which is it's not a fenced park like the Rose Bowl, so anyone could walk in. But we get into the park, and all of a sudden, like, I don't have service. I can't connect to my phone. And like the people I'm with, they also can't connect with their phone. My Japanese friend Julie, who lives in Japan, doesn't have eSIMs, has like Japanese SIMs. She can't connect. But you know, I'm surrounded by people that are playing, so it's like, well, is it me? Am I the foreigner with just like bad SIM cards I can't connect? And like, of course, for like the first 15 minutes, like I can't play, and I was like, I'll just walk to the other end of the park, because there's raids over there I want to do anyways. And as soon as I leave that like intro area, everything's working great. And then they had a bunch of food trucks in Fukuoka, and I went over there, and not only did my phone stop working, but like my stream backpack, which has multiple SIM cards, like that went down.
Yikes. And
I was like, what is like it's been like 3 hours into the event. What is happening? I end up talking to Niantic, because they're like, how's the event? Are you guys having fun? I was like, yeah, the first 15 minutes was kind of rough. And they were like, yeah, we know, which is like, it's validating to hear, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
It is like, okay, it's just not me. And they were like, everyone got into the park and stopped, and they all connected to the same tower. And that tower got overwhelmed. And once we told people to like, just spread out a little bit, it worked. And that's true. Like after the first 15 minutes, the park was fine. And I was like, yeah, you guys have another dead spot over at the food trucks. And they were like, no. Well, they were like, yes. They were like, we purposely put a dead spot in the food trucks because in past events, people would just play where the food was, and then it would confuse people because they thought they were in line.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, that's smart. That's super smart. You know what's smarter, Niantic? Put a sign up.
Yeah, communicate that.
Because I'm sitting there in front of the food truck trying to fix my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And all I had to do was like walk like 20 feet outside of the food truck zone, and like everything started working instantly again.
Yeah.
So pros and cons, but like I don't know how you don't really like, I think the way you fix the issue of like everyone connecting to the same tower is like you don't have one entrance, which Fukuoka
a lot of the time
only
they
had.
don't.
Yeah, Fukuoka had like the main entrance because it was like, this is where the train just drops off. Everyone's taking the train. We're all just entering this way. Like there's no back train entrance. I don't know why you would get to the park and be like, I'm just going to walk around. Like, no, you're just going to walk through the park. Rose Bowl was supposed to last year have 2 entrances, and it's a stadium. Stadiums by default have multiple entrances.
Just a few, yeah.
Niantic, whatever, messed up last year, or I don't know, maybe it was. Well, it's very easy to blame Niantic. It's their
It
event.
didn't open a door?
Yeah, there was something wrong with security last year where they
Got it.
had everyone go through one entrance. And the on Sunday they fixed it where they opened up like 3 of the, it's again a stadium. They have multiple gates, like gate
Like
A,
47
gate B.
entrances.
Yeah. So like on Sunday they had multiple gates open, so there wasn't that like a wait. They're saying here on the website there will be 4 entrances. Last year they said 2. I'm just saying on Saturday they only had 1 opened. Sunday they fixed that. So the nice thing about, in my opinion, the nice thing about Niantic going back to a repeat location is they've been there before, so they can be like, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. So I still think it's going to be Randall's Island next year for GoFest.
Yeah.
I think they signed a 3-year deal. I would
3
be
years.
surprised if they signed a multi-year deal here with the Rose Bowl. I think that's only a good thing because those events get better. Like Chicago got better and better every time they did Chicago.
Did New York get better between
Well,
year 1 and year 2? Can they
there
make
wasn't a
Randall's
Verizon
Island
issue
better?
this year.
Can they make Randall's Island better? I'm not sure how much they can.
I think that's mostly at the city of New York. Just left all the cranes and construction from last year.
Yeah.
If you are deciding to go to Unova Tour, well, Saturday currently is sold out. I don't know if they will restock tickets because they did say that these are early birds, so I don't know if they're specifically saying only early bird Saturday is sold out.
They did say they did do this last year, and they did restock tickets. Not saying they will this year, but they did have another wave of tickets. Because I remember that. I remember the early bird ones running out real quick. And then there was another wave a couple months later that lasted like a weekend as well. And there was a second wave. So not saying it'll happen, but like just be aware that this did happen last year.
Yes. So if you're determined to go on Saturday, now you're on ticket watch to see when they restock. If they do restock, which, like Bobby said, they did technically restock last year. Here's what you're expecting at the event. Shiny Meloetta is going to be the Pokemon. No Victini, no Keldeo.
Sad.
I don't know what Pokemon. I don't know what Mr. Masuda's obsession with Victini is, but that Pokemon will be shiny locked forever.
So, is Keldeo also shiny locked?
Yeah. It's never had a shiny either.
Yeah.
Deerling will make its shiny debut, and because they're doing 4 different biomes, they're featuring each Deerling in each of the biomes, which I think is like pretty cool for Deerling.
Hannah agrees.
Yes. I made a face. I'm very excited about that. Deerling is such a good Pokemon.
It is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Deerling's really cool. They're
Especially
putting
with the Unova.
Sigilith, Maractus, and Bouffalant into eggs, 10k eggs. This
Excited
is
about that
what
too.
they did for Chatot and Carnivine and Tropius and Thorkel. That's like not surprising, although
But
I'm sure people are
Sigilith.
disappointed.
Sigilith is Egypt regional, right? So
Yeah.
and maybe a couple other places, but it's got to be one of the.
It's been at a couple events.
It was in Sendai as the featured Pokemon.
Okay.
Because I remember I'm out of Sigilith. Like people still ask for Sigilith. Like Sigilith, Hawlucha, and Comfey are pretty up there for what people are asking for.
Yeah.
Has Hawlucha not been at events?
Oh no, Hawlucha's
No,
only been Mexico.
Hawlucha is. Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
in San Diego as well.
Yeah,
So-
Hawlucha is still like that was probably the most asked Pokemon I was asked as a foreigner in Japan was Hawlucha.
Yeah.
I
Sigilith
didn't
was
realize
also
that.
available at New York Go Fest in 2023, so I have a ton of them.
Wait, what was? Sorry, I missed.
Sigilith.
Okay.
5-star raids right now. They're saying Reshiram and Zekrom. Come on. Black Kyurem and White Kyurem are definitely making their debut at this event.
Yeah.
There's no way they are not making their debut.
Making
just
their debut,
saving that
they
announcement.
debuted them once before.
They did debut for like
about
2
12
hours.
hours.
I don't know if that counts as a debut. But we'll
so
see
there's
what
no
adventure
Kyurem-
effects they'll probably have.
Yeah, like very confident they'll have adventure effects. Don't know how good they would be. Like one has to be like freezing something, like freezing time or something of the
Already have
sort.
Yeah, we
I
already
know we
have
have
freezing
that,
time.
but like
I think what's interesting, at least for me, when Necrozma had its adventure effects based on Lunala or Solgaleo fuse, at first I didn't realize how good the adventure effect was. Like there are multiple parts to it, so I hope it kind of is a similar thing where there are, multiple pieces to it. Because with those, it's like there's kind of 2 pieces to their adventure effects, right? Whereas like Palkia and Dialga, it's like there's one thing, right? Like stopping time or expanding your area of reach. With the Solgaleo and Lunala ones, it's like being able to do these things that are night, but also this like 10-minute incense that spawns a Pokemon every minute that is like a specific kind, right? There's like 2 different parts to that, which I thought was cool. So it'll be fun to see.
I just don't think
how
those
they move
2
it.
are as good as Dialga and Palkia.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I agree.
agreed, but if the incense is really cool, especially because you get it 1 per minute without moving on the Solgaleo and Lunala thing. Which, with the Palkia one, obviously it makes more sense to be moving. Dialga kind of the same, but
Dialga, I feel like is useless if you're not moving.
Yeah.
well, you could have
Well,
an incense and then freeze
Yeah,
it
you
for
can
like
use
a
it
day
for
and
other things.
get a spawn every 5 minutes for a day.
I feel like if you're not having incense, Star Piece, and Lucky Egg, then you shouldn't be turning on Dialga. You need to maximize that return.
Actually, to your point, that I did way too many raids this weekend, so I'm back in the raid game. But I should have been using Dialga with Lucky Egg on those raids, and I could have just been doing all those raids and having the Lucky Eggs stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know this now, Steve,
Like,
on Sunday.
I'm trying to think of like an
Wednesday.
adventure. Like I'm trying to think of an adventure effect that would be not just an incense. Like when I think about Dawnwing's Necrozma and Duskmane Necrozma, I feel like no one talks about their adventure effects. I think you, Bobby, are the only person in the world that has talked more than 5 minutes about their adventure effects.
They're
like,
good.
They're
Good.
They
But, like,
exist.
they do exist. But like, even if an adventure effect was like, you can hatch eggs 20% faster or like 10% faster or something, and that would like get you to walk. Like that would be really cool. I don't think that like fits up Kirim in any way. Like maybe the fire one. which is
Yeah, kind of
black
like a flame
Kirim.
body.
Yeah.
True.
But I would like I'm not creative enough to think of adventure effects, but I really would love to see if they have very unique adventure effects that just isn't like spawn more ice Pokemon for 10 minutes, because that would be like the bare minimum, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say with the going back to the Solgaleo and Lunala ones, I do wish they changed up the pool of what spawns on that incense, because each one it's like 6 or 7 different Pokemon. And if you're shiny hunting, that's actually great. There's like one of them is Rockruff, which is a great Pokemon to shiny hunt, especially on an incense that doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost you any money. Costs you, like Stardust and
Cost your
candy
time.
and time. But yeah, I know a lot of people talked about maybe an adventure effect one day that extends like being able to reach a Pokestop. I don't know if that would bring back too many bad feelings about 2020, 2021 timeframe. But
yeah.
that's one that has been, people have said would be really cool. But yeah, to your point, I mean, Steve, the egg distance thing kind of, or like the quicker egg hatching kind of seems like something that would be cool as well. And that's another thing that gets you out and about, which is what they want us to do.
That is definitely
So
what they want.
I could see something like that.
Yeah, it's also like, it's not a surprise here. Niantic, they did this for Wild Area, they did this for Sinnoh Tour, they did this for Unova Tour, or Hoenn Tour. They've done this for Go Fest, where here's half the information, and it's fine. Like I think
They got to save some surprises.
Yeah. So it's fine. Like there's no Kyurem here. Black Kyurem and White Kyurem have to be coming. So they're just saying for 5-star rates right now, Reshiram and Zekrom. This is what they did again for Sinnoh Tour. It was just Dialga and Palkia, and then obviously Origin form Dialga Palkia came. 3-star raids, Druddigan. 1-star raids, Snivy, Tepig, Oshawott. That's what they're saying on the website. Sometimes this stuff changes. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they add Pikachu to the 1-star raids. But there are 4 Pikachus. They're doing Black 2 and White 2. So Nate, Rosa, Hilbert, Hilda, those are your protagonists in those games. Really knocked out of the park with the naming there. They got a winter biome, a spring biome, a summer biome, an autumn biome. It's Gen 5 Pokemon. I don't know what you expect it to be. Somebody was like, how do you feel about Unova Tour? It's just Gen 5 Pokemon. It's like... There's a lot of Gen 5 Pokemon, which is nice. There's 156. Yeah, I don't think all 156 are going to be there. Like, I don't think... I would, like, Genesect, I bet they're going to do what they did for Sinnoh Tour, I think. I'm just guessing. Like, Genesect will be, like, in raids before or after the event.
It's in raids next, like, 2 days from now.
It is, yeah, I know. It's in raids. But I would expect they were bring back Genesect. I think that's fine. Like, if they're releasing Black and White Kyurem, I would rather focus on that than Genesect. There is no sign here of Terrakion, Cobalion, Virizion. I suspect that this will be the Mesprit, Azelf, Uxie of the event, where they will appear in the wild. You take a snapshot, you'll get to catch it. If it's shiny, you'll see it and it won't run away, that kind of thing.
Not nearly as good as the Lake experience, but that's my opinion.
I think
Sorry,
the egg.
I don't like the source
Yeah.
of justice.
I
Most
think the
people
egg
really
choices,
don't like the lake spirits.
Yeah, lake spirits are not as popular. Eggs,
well.
Rock'n'Rolla, Timber, Carablast, Shelmet, Larvesta in 2K. Throw, Sock, Heatmore, Durant, Larvesta in 5K. And then 10K will be the Maractus, Sigilif, Bouffalant, Larvesta. I think they're fine.
Wait, Larvesta's in 10K as well?
10K, 5K, and 2K is for Larvesta.
I feel like Sinnoh Tour last year, it was just the 3
It was.
that could
Yeah.
be shiny. And the whole point was that they could be shiny. And
Yeah.
But like if you had a bunch of 10Ks, you were going to hatch those 3 Pokemon.
Yeah.
Larvesta is still rare enough.
Yeah, that's true. And it can be shiny, so, people love that.
Unknown will spell Unova. V is like a really sought after shiny. Unknown V. I don't remember why. I think it made its debut in Seville. And I think that is the main event it was in. So if you have an unknown V, it's lost its value. Remove it from your LinkedIn. It's coming
I
back.
haven't.
I should have traded no, actually I think I only have one V and I think it was traded to me from Seville. So I don't think I could have traded anyways. That's all they have for now. I don't think we're going to get a Victini, just like I don't think we got Arceus. I don't think
we don't get
a Keldeo.
The tours historically will give us a Pokemon a mythical Pokemon in game that hasn't been shiny before, like available, right? Like Kanto Tour gave us shiny Mew. Johto Tour didn't give us shiny Celebi because we already had it from other things, so they gave us the Apex Shadow Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hoenn Tour gave us shiny the Jirachi. Sinnoh Tour gave us shiny Shaman, and now Unova Tour with shiny Meloetta. So it makes sense. They don't give new mythicals. Like everybody thought Arceus was gonna be at Sinnoh Tour last year, but it's like they don't do like unreleased stuff at the tours. It's usually like a shiny version of a mythical that's already been in game, non-shiny. And since Victini and Keldeo are shiny locked, and I doubt the Pokemon Company would debut them in this. Although it was shiny Mew
Technically an Emerald.
No, I know, but like you had to have a Japanese Emerald game from like 20 years ago to get shiny Mew until Kanto Tour. So that was kind of new. But
Kind of new, yeah. They're also saying that event Pokestops near metro stations will spawn Sandile, Mainfu, Pawniard, and Vullaby.
Near metro stations?
Mm-hmm. Near metro stations throughout Los Angeles County, special event Pokestops will appear on the in-game map. Team Rocket will appear at these Pokestops and have turned them from Unova region into Shadow Pokemon, defeat them. So then they have the Shadow Pokemon listed. And then they said, plus after defeating a Shadow Grunt, you will earn a 12K egg. And those 12K eggs will have Sandile, Mainfu, Pawniard, Vullaby.
So just grunts will have that.
Grunts will give you a 12K egg. So they're
Cool.
still making Sandile somewhat rare.
Yeah, there's the Mareep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new Marie.
The new Mareep. That is interesting that they're focusing on metro. I mean, obviously they're focusing on public transportation. It's just that the public transportation in all of Southern California is awful. So
Yeah. Basculin and Blue Stripe and Red Stripe will appear throughout routes throughout the city. No routes will be accessible at the Rose Bowl or the golf course. So if you want your Basculin, you gotta go into the city. They did have routes in Pasadena, so like I think there was a route from like the Rose Bowl to like the bus stop that you could take. So like on your way in or out, you could do a route. The merchandise I think is really good this time around. Personally, the black and white merchandise I think looks good.
yeah, agreed.
They probably save some money not printing color, but I understand the theme of black and white. I think the merch looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It feels like a bunch of Pokemon are missing, but
Well,
I can't.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just, I think there's just going to be a lot of. Well, the website though, that's like the stuff. Like, does it say what spawns per biome?
Yeah. You'll get your like Litwicks and your Frillish in the autumn. You'll get your Trubbish and your Dwebble and your Pansear in the summer. You get your Venipedes and your Ducklets in the spring, and you get your Axews and your Clinks in the winter. So yeah, they have a list of everything. Also, like, we're gonna get Gigantamax Garbodor, right? Like, it's the only Gigantamax Gen 5 Pokemon. There's no way that it's not Black Kyurem, White Kyurem, Gigantamax Garbodor, regular Garbodor.
Yeah, they're gonna.
That
wanna
would be like
definitely
the biggest miss in the world if they don't do Gigantamax Garbodor.
They're gonna want to keep the Gigantamax stuff up and
Yeah.
the Dynamax stuff up. So that would make
Right,
sense.
we're getting Lapras soon,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll probably have time for maybe Kingler and maybe Orbeetle, and then it would be Garbodor. Like,
I feel like that's still going pretty quick.
I think they're
I'm
gonna
surprised
do
how
one,
quick we're getting Lapras.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because like the last little trailer they showed was literally Kingler and
Orbeetle.
Orbeetle, and
Yeah.
then there was a big Orbeetle picture, and then they were like Lapras in December. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, they might have switched. Well, I don't know. They could have just done Kingler, because I was like, maybe they switched gears because they were like, we should maybe do a water Pokemon next, since everyone just cut an electric Pokemon.
Well, so I mean, I was thinking Lapras being water and ice, and it's December. And
Yeah.
Northern Hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
Winter ice. So, kind of makes sense, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then they're introducing the Max Mushrooms, which is supposed to double your power. They're expensive. They're 400 for one, and then 1,000 for three.
Yep.
I think they're too expensive. Two, I'm not exactly sure who's buying that, because again, I think we're at this point where people have enough counters, or they at least understand it, where a group of 25 to 30 can do it.
Steve, you need to go somewhere other than a in-person event or Mall of America and experience this.
Here, the thing is, like, there's not a good situation. I knew this argument was going to come up. Do you really think like 20 people are going to sit there and be like, we can't do it, and then one person is like, I'll spend the 1,000 coins. Like,
Yes.
maybe we can do it.
Yes,
Yes,
100%.
But that doesn't
100%
guarantee
believe
them
that.
to do it. I don't think it's a good solution.
I
No,
didn't
but
say it was
it's
a good solution. I
what
said
they
I 100%
have, it's what they're
guarantee that'll happen.
providing.
I don't think anyone should do that. I don't think it's a good solution.
I
don't
mean,
think
I know,
anyone
I
should
know
be
that it's
buying
been a
these.
few weeks since we last talked about it, but all of us said that there were situations where each of us would buy this item, and it is actually less expensive than I thought it was going to be.
I think I would. I'd have to like see it actually work. I think like if I confidently knew I was like going to get through raids quicker with this item, I think it's way too expensive though. Maybe I would buy it.
I thought it was going to be $5 for one.
Like it. I don't even think the raid itself takes that long. I think it's like
Again, you need to do some of these outside of an in-person event or Mall of America.
Just said that the raid took like 6 or 7 minutes, and that felt long. Didn't
no,
you?
it does feel long, but I don't think the raid itself feels long. I think it's like getting to it, waiting for everyone to confirm. If it wasn't for Safari Balls, which there were plenty of times where Safari Balls were like, I did raids after the event was over. And like you're just sitting there in the catch screen for like 2-3 minutes, like Golden Raz, excellent throw, Premier Ball. Oh, it broke out again. Like the Max Mushrooms don't speed that part of it up. And I like the argument of like you need to play Mall of America or not an in-person event. I played in like 17 different cities in Japan. Like I just jumped into raids and we did it. Like I didn't coordinate with anyone. I didn't like look at a map and be like, oh, this is where they're doing raids. It was just like, oh, there's a raid here. Oh, it's filling up. I'll jump in too. Like I just go to big cities. I just go to areas where I would normally go, where it'd be like, oh, the spawn density is good here. Like, like none of those toxicities were at Mall of America.
But like the fact that like, but like obviously that you can go to a big city and do the raids, and it's like gonna be different.
I know that. Everyone should know that, right? Like,
no, everyone knows that, but not everybody has that ability.
I feel like I'm like defending the people who live in the middle of nowhere. I don't think this is an item you should buy. Like, here's the thing. As somebody who's done 55 toxicity raids, I stood next to so many Sobbles and Drizziles and Charizards and Wooloo and Drillbur.
I watched you bring a lot of Drillbur to those raids, by the way.
I didn't bring any
forgot
Drillbur.
about this until now.
The one time I bought a Drillbur is when I joined and there was 4 seconds left and I couldn't change my team. Don't you start with me. But like, I think it's a disingenuous item to be like, you are going to double the output of your team when your team is still bringing bad counters. Like, cool, we're going to double our damage. That's going to be really helpful for the Sobble standing next to me, which is weak to electric. Like, it's like what are you doubling? You're getting one shot. Like, these people, the people standing next to me aren't even bringing things that would resist. Like, the amount of Charizard is weak to electric. I don't know if people know this or not. He's only been around for 30 years. He's always been weak to electric. Like, bring a Bulbasaur or a Venusaur. Like, grass resist electric. You will survive much longer. Charizard is not hitting super effective damage against toxicity. You know what? Neither is Venusaur. But Venusaur is 1, way bulkier, 2, resist electric. Like, the problem to your solution isn't like doubling your damage output. It is just fundamentally understanding the game itself, which is like, evolve your Sobble. Well, also don't bring Sobble, but like at least evolve it, or at least like put some candy and power it up. Like, you're selling a solution to what isn't really the problem. Like even if people brought mediocre counters, I can keep them alive with Max Guard and Max Spirit. Because I can aggro the boss so they don't actually end up attacking the Charizard. And then eventually the Charizard does enough damage and wins. But that's only because I know what I'm doing. So, like, yes, I am sure there is a small community of like 15 people in Appleton, Wisconsin that are like, one person's going to bite the bullet and give Niantic $10. But that isn't great.
Yeah, no, I don't like this item. I don't like that it exists. It is I think it's probably one of the most pay-to-win items we have in some ways. That term is complicated.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I do think that this is a more common situation than you think it is, where there just aren't enough people. And even if their teams are built well, even if people are using Max Guard, they just aren't able to complete it, and having the ability to do the raid, lose. You didn't lose your Max Particles, thankfully, but try again with the Max Mushroom and win.
But
I can see a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
I just don't I don't realistically think there are 15 people in a neighborhood with actually good teams.
No, but I think that there are 8 in a neighborhood with actually good teams. And
Yeah.
as someone who used to go raid to raid with like 2 or 3 people, and we would do everything we could to beat like legendary or a 4-star boss at the time with as little as we could, like maxing out our Pokemon to the perfect stats and everything. Those groups absolutely exist, and I think there are groups of 8 or 9 who make their Pokemon as perfect as possible and can't beat a Gigantamax raid right now that will be able to with Max Mushrooms. It doesn't solve the issue of people bringing Sobbles.
I think those are different people, though. I think we're talking about 2 different audiences. Like we're is
talking
definitely
about the item, though.
Yes.
And it works
I think
for
the
some
item
of
will
them.
help those small groups that have the perfect Pokemon but
and
don't
I
have
think there
enough
are a
people
lot
in
of
the
those
community
groups.
to do
I
it.
have been in a lot of those groups.
But
I have been in at least 4 different groups like that as I have moved from place to place.
The group of like 10 people who know what they're doing will probably buy the item. Maybe that's what Niantic is aiming for. Because
That
they're
is what I believe that
they're
this
probably
is for.
buying lucky eggs. They're probably buying star pieces. They're probably buying incubators. I'm thinking of the group that doesn't, one, know what they're doing, and they have a bunch of Wooloos and Sobbles. And number 2 is you can tell them what to do, but they still won't do it. And as much as you guys are like, I've been with these groups that like they know what they're doing, they're moving from raid to raid. I'm thinking of like the groups I've been in where like no one wants to power anything up. No one wants to evolve anything. They just want to go in and hit the button. You try to like explain, maybe bring different counters. They don't want to do that. And I don't like.
And this item is preying on those people.
No,
and
but
the
hold
cost
on.
is. But also, you're not talking to any of these people.
But you're also, but your problem is already solved in your situation because you're winning the raids. So yes, you're watching people bring Sobbles and Wooloos and things, but you're winning those raids because those people are in groups of 40 where there is a portion of them that are carrying those teams to win the raids.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
And so those people
the
never
small
have
group
to
that's
learn.
Not in that situation.
Yeah, those people will never learn. Correct, yes.
Because they don't have to.
And this Max
And the
Mushroom's
people in these smaller
Right.
groups, they do have to learn.
Right. They will learn because they'll have to learn because they can't do it any other way.
But I think it's already been proven that like you don't need 40 people. I mean, Gengar was beat with 4 people. Blastoise was beat with 8 people.
Yeah, but you do need some people, and some of these groups are going to be smaller than that.
I
mean, I guess.
I just think you benefit smaller groups who have the right things, but they're just a smaller group that doesn't have the ability to do it. Again, I'm not saying that this is the right way or that it's not too expensive or whatever.
I am saying that this item shouldn't exist.
Yeah, well, okay. But I'm saying that it does benefit people who are in much smaller groups or even maybe a couple. You're saying Gengar was beat with 4. Maybe Lapras will be able to beat with 2.
Yeah,
like with these Max Mushrooms, right?
No,
like,
there's no way. There's no way. They've already ran it through the calcs. You need at least 8 people for Lapras.
With the Max Mushrooms?
With the Max Mushroom.
Yes, even with Max Mushrooms.
Okay.
Like
well,
the bare minimum for Lapras is going to need, unless like something dramatically changes or the calcs are wrong. But Lapras is way, way bulkier.
Makes sense.
Than
It's so bulky.
Toxtricity.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
like Gengar and Toxtricity are super frail. Like Toxtricity had a 4 times weakness.
Oh, right. And Gengar's always been a glass cannon. So
yeah, like I don't think Lapras has a 4 times weak. It's like weak to fighting and it's weak to electric, but it's not 4 times weak.
I hate ever fighting Lapras. It's always annoying to battle a Lapras. But I still think that this does cater more toward those smaller groups that are doing things properly. And I'm not saying it's going to work for yes, you bring 8 people with all Sobbles to a battle, it's just not going to work. And this is not going to help it. Absolutely. But I've been in enough groups with small amounts of people who do everything right, and they just don't have enough people or power to do the thing. Mm-hmm. And this does help that. And they will buy these mushrooms when coming to that.
That's crazy to me. I just think like it just feels like you're rubbing more salt in the wound of like people who, again, I just think of the people who don't know what they're doing, or like just 15 people where like some people know what they're doing, but no, like other people don't know what they're doing, and somebody bites the bullet, spends the $10, activate, or for the $4, I guess, activates the mushroom, and then they still fail, and now everyone's upset, especially the person who spent the money.
Well, think about raids. Like, think about raids when you go in and you fail a raid, and like you don't get to get that money back. If the raid ends, the raid ends. Like, and that's it. Like, there's been a lot of frustration with that. I've been a part of a lot of that frustration in the past. Like, this is not a new issue. It's just a different item that's taking money from people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the point I'm making is I would rather not have the item exist, because I think that we already have the frustration of like, I don't have enough people, versus now we're going to have the frustration of I bought the item and we still don't have enough people. And I think that's
you're also going to have the people that now are a small group that can beat it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That group is going to exist. That group is absolutely going to exist.
When people lose, people are going to want to try and iterate and grow. A lot of the time, not all of the time, the people you're seeing are people who are still winning regardless of them bringing in a Sobble. So a lot of the time when people lose these raids, they're going to want to get better at it, to come back and do more. And so these groups are going to lose less, and as we have this item, smaller and smaller groups will have that opportunity.
Yeah, I don't want to say
I wish it didn't cost money. That's the
I definitely don't want to sit here and say like you guys are wrong. I don't like this item existing at all, even though your guys' argument is like it will help some people, which I don't disagree with. But I think what would help more people is Niantic not introducing this item and just telling us how to max raid, because they still
letting people
haven't,
remote in.
100%.
They haven't done that. And
100%.
in Japan, I met up with some people and they were like, "This is the first time we're able to max raid, right?" They live in Saitama, so they not as big as Tokyo. So they came out, and I was watching them do it, and they literally only had 3. They had the Wooloo, they had the Sobble, they had the Drillbur, right? They had like the 3 worst Pokemon. Drillbur's, I guess, okay. But like I was watching them do it because I already finished the raid, and they just didn't know what anything did. I was like, oh, those 3 little lines, that means you dodge, you swipe left and right. They were like, oh. And I was like, oh, this little icon here that's max power, you need to swipe to pick that up. And they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Yeah, like, that's never explained.
None of that is explained. Or like when you're Gigantamaxing or Dynamaxing, like that countdown, you can switch Pokemon. Like also not explained of like why you would do that. And like,
but where do you want them to explain all of this? Because like to Hannah's point before, like people aren't like you're saying that they need to explain all of it, but are people going to read a guide about it? Because they're not.
Force a raid in the game to teach you how to do it.
They did have the research. They made people do the Dynamax raids. They just never explain when you do your first Dynamax raid how to do any of this. They rely on people telling each other, and they rely on people figuring it out on their own.
Yeah.
I figured it all out on my own. It's doable.
It's doable. I still think that they're okay. Okay. So if you have a smaller amount of people who are trying to do a max raid and it's not working, chances are that small group of people is not going to continue to take the same Pokemon into the same raid over and over and over and over and over again and expect different results.
Yeah.
They're going to learn that, okay, this didn't work. Let me try. Like, they're going to eventually learn that this isn't working. Now, if you have a group of people who's in a big group and they do it once and they win, there's
then they
no
don't have to
reason
learn.
to learn what you're doing because it just worked and you won. But these small groups of people, they're going to have to learn, like, okay, well, this didn't work against it, but this other thing might work better. And they're going to learn. And so I still think this item is giving the smaller groups of people a better chance at winning than it did before. And yes, if they bring in Sobbles and they bring in those things, it's not going to work. But like the smaller groups are going to learn over time that they need to change those things up in order to win, or they're going to go to the big groups and go in and win that way. Like one of those two things is going to happen. You're not going to have someone in a group of 4 bringing a Sobble every day for 3 weeks to the same raid that gets destroyed in 10 seconds. They're going to eventually be like, this isn't working. Like, I have to do something different.
I think you guys have way too much faith in people. I think you have way too much like
you really
hope
think you really think an individual is going to go to a raid with 3 people, bring a Sobble for multiple days at a time and get the exact same results and never think that they need to change that, like from the result they're getting where they lose
100%.
every single time?
I have been around so many people that like we would like get to a Darkrai, or we would get to like a Cresselia, and it would only be like 3 of us, and we would get to like literally 5 HP, and then the timer would run out, and then we would do it again and get to 5 HP, and then I would be like, hey, can I just like look what Pokemon you're using? And none of their Pokemon are powered up. And I'm just like, just like power up like your Tyranitar. It's like super effective against Cresselia.
Yeah, but that's all the same day, the same raid. They probably are used to being in bigger groups where they don't have to care.
And you're teaching them. You literally
and you are doing
what
the
I'm saying
teaching.
is happening.
Yeah, this is
and then you know what they did? They didn't want to power up their Tyranitar because they were like, I don't want to waste my Stardust. I don't know. This isn't the one I want to power up.
Tyranitar
I mean,
is the star of the show.
This is the problem with. This is like part of the problem with Pokemon Go is people will like watch content creators, or they'll talk to other people like in person, and they'll be like, if it's not 100%, I don't want to power it up. And then they will forever chase 100% and never get it, and therefore never power anything up. Where that's why, like literally 45 minutes ago, I was praising Mighty Pokemon, because it increases and makes the game just better for everyone. Because instead of them bringing their level 20 Zapdos that they caught 8 years ago, they're now bringing a level 44 Pidgeot that will just do more damage. But I just don't think. You guys have just so much faith in people changing, like getting better, when it's like, why isn't your Wooloo evolved? Why isn't your Drillbur evolved? Why haven't you unlocked Max Guard? Why haven't you unlocked Max Spirit? Why haven't you just powered up your Drillbur? Like,
because they haven't had to do this before, and they don't know how, because the game doesn't explain or teach people, and this is still a new mechanic.
But
the game does tell you to, like, for 8 years you're supposed to be powering up Pokemon to do raids. But like, they're so
this is in
stuck,
a different way.
They're so stuck in a way of like, raids have been the same for 8 years, right? Like, you can just join a Zamazenta raid with like 6 Stantler and be like, I won, because you're just tapping the button, right? And like there's like 10 other people there, and those people are going to carry you. I get what you guys are saying, that like other people are carrying them, so they don't need to do anything. I understand that. I totally get that. But like, the game also doesn't teach you about resistances, and people are bringing Pokemon that are weak to the thing they are fighting.
The game
Like,
sometimes teaches you about resistances.
Which Pokemon game teaches you about resistances?
All of them. All literally in the second town of every game.
You just have to talk to people, which not everyone does.
They teach you about resistances.
Okay, but what do you have to do that?
Talk to people.
Okay, and Pokemon Go is a real world game, so what do you think you have to do to figure those things out?
If you should have the explanation
been playing this game for 8 years, and your logic is, I'm going to bring a flying type Pokemon to an electric raid, that is on you.
Then why do you think, if that's happening, then why do you think they're going to do any different by Niantic feeding them how to do it in a max raid? If they're still bringing these things to a regular raid that don't make any sense after 8 years of raids being around.
That's why I think the item is bad. That's why I
don't think the item actually does something. The guides clearly aren't, because people have known for 8 years how to do a raid, and they're still not doing raids correctly. So a guide on a new raid system isn't going to help.
I think something in the game that would, like, you know, go through this and get like 2 lucky eggs for completing this tutorial, and forcing you to understand what Max Guard does. And then another tutorial of forcing you to understand what Max Spirit does. Like, simulate a 4-person thing where you are supposed to be the healer, simulate a thing where you're supposed to be the tank, simulate the thing where you're supposed to do the damage.
Yep. They do this in Final Fantasy XIV.
Like, I would rather have Niantic do that than to introduce an item which doubles your damage for money, which half of the players in the raid will never see the benefit of because they're getting one-shot by the raid boss. So they will never actually see that benefit.
I think there's room for both. But as long as you have these things that are too powerful for people that are a small amount of people to do, again, as somebody who comes from these communities in a large city that does it this way, who uses like tiny groups to do these raids and things like that,
Yep.
yes, I can absolutely go find a big group to do a max raid with in my
Yeah,
city.
but it's
However,
not your
I have
group
a
of
group
friends.
of 3 friends that I
Yeah.
want to go do this with, and
Yeah.
this gives me that opportunity to do it with a smaller amount of people.
I have
think
lived
that's
on a
beneficial.
college campus where we had a group of 30 to 40 active players at a time, but even then you could only get maybe 5-10 people for a single raid at a time. I have lived in an apartment building where I became friends with 3 other Pokemon Go players in that apartment building, and I just went to events with them, and maybe we could do some raids specifically because of this item with that size group. I have lived in a neighborhood where there were regularly 10 hardcore good friend players who all played together. This is not an uncommon thing. This is how people play the game.
I think it's helpful to them. I think it's too expensive, but I think the item isn't. I think the item is worth it. I think what you're saying should also be implemented. Your the
I
guide
still
on how
don't
to do it.
like the item. I just think
But-
it'll help, but so would letting people remote into these.
Yeah, I mean, like, as somebody who's done more max raids than probably a lot of people listening, I don't even think the problem is damage output. I don't even think like, oh, double your
That's
damage.
because you're not in these small groups that are trying.
No, I don't think
You
it's
haven't
damage
even
output
been
at all.
But you haven't been in a 2 to 3 person group doing this.
You haven't been in the small groups that fail because there just aren't enough people.
What do you guys talk? I literally beat Toxtricity with like 16 people.
But that's 16
but-
people.
and you
I'm talking
beat
about
it.
I'm talking about minimum of being able to do this.
You think the mushroom will let minimum be able to do it?
There will be a minimum every
More
time,
minimum,
yes.
Yes, more minimum than
And the
without the
mushroom will make it smaller.
Okay, again, as somebody who's done more max raids than everyone else, I don't think it's the damage that's the problem, because most max raid bosses will end up 1 to 2-shotting you, and you have 3 Pokemon. That's it. You don't get to come back in with more. And after that, you get to cheer. So if everyone's damage is increased and no one understands the fundamental mechanics of 1, resistances, 2, tanking, 3, healing, and everyone's just hitting the attack button, which is very common, they're all just going to get one shot, and that damage does not matter because they are not alive. Now, when you do have some players like me who is sitting there and using max guard on a Pokemon that resists electricity, which is like Venusaur, so not only am I taking all the aggro, I'm also resisting it so I last longer, and I am keeping those Sobbles alive because they are no longer being targeted, then yes, they can do damage. But again, that doesn't work on a $4 item when people are just attacking.
But that's
It's
my
a combination.
A combination, yeah.
People
there still
will
have to
learn.
be people attacking to get the boss knocked out. So I'm talking about people who are playing the game correctly. It's just that less of them can do it now. Less of them can play it correctly.
A smaller group can play correctly
can play
to win.
it correctly because they still have to attack. Somebody has
Yes.
to.
No, don't worry. You don't have to worry about attacking. Everyone is attacking.
That's in the scenario where they're not playing it correctly. I'm talking about people who've learned how to play it correctly and can now do it with a smaller group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows what they're doing in this scenario that I'm talking about.
Or at least
it's not
someone does.
uncommon. It's just that in giant 40-person groups or even 18, 20-person groups, people aren't playing it correctly, but they're still winning, so they're not needing to learn. I was also in a group of 17 that beat the Toxtricity, and I was the only person using Max Spirit because I could see everyone else was attacking in my group. But we won, so no one needed to learn that they didn't need to do that because they won.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you have a small group. They will play it correctly, and now they can
They
be in a
will learn.
smaller group playing it correctly.
You both have way too much faith in players.
No, I've just been a part of these groups
Yeah, we've
that are
both been a
small
part
groups
of more
that know
of
what
these
they're doing.
communities. The small in-person communities.
They exist. They will learn. I'm not saying the Sobbles won't, like, they will still bring Sobbles. Those people will also exist. But there are small groups that learn and know what they're doing, where literally the thing holding them back is they're not powerful enough to beat the boss.
That there just aren't enough people.
There just aren't enough people. And this allows that to change.
Okay.
So would letting people remote in, but that wouldn't have people spending as much money, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, the remoting in thing is a whole nother argument.
I'm just in my head comparing how remoting in is to the max mushrooms, and kind of it's a weird comparison, but it is a whole different discussion.
Yeah, because like technically a max mushroom should affect everyone in the raid, right? So like if it's doing 50% more damage for everyone.
Yeah, no, mechanically that way it's different, but ultimately both of them result in more damage being there to make the raid easier.
Right, but the remoting, I mean, we all know, like, the remoting goes against, like, they don't want more people remoting. They want more people in person, so.
Except now they're making it possible for smaller groups. I don't know. It's a different thing.
Well, smaller groups that are still in person.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, I guess. I think, like, if thematically the max mushroom makes sense, because, like, that's what it did in Sword and Shield. If your Pokemon was holding a max mushroom in battle, you would get a damage boost, a defense boost, a speed boost. So, like, as an item, it aligns with what the core purpose of it was. The other part of that item is if you took 3, make the soup, give the soup to a Pokemon. So I think, like, I wouldn't be as annoyed that this item exists if the max soup rolled out with it. Where it was like, yes, you could buy this item and you could boost if you needed it, or you could buy this item and then make the max soup for $10 and then, like, turn your current Charmander into a Charizard, which again I think would be much better for players, because I think most people are just bringing wrong or poor counters, and some people didn't even want to experience this Gigantamax Dynamax thing because they already had a shiny Charizard, they already had a level 40 Blastoise, and they don't want to start over and do it again. And so if there was a way to, like, do a quest line, or like once a week you have a chance of getting max mushroom through your field, whatever that's called, where you do the 7-day research, and the max mushroom would breakthrough research, yeah. And you could save max mushrooms to then eventually turn something into a Gigantamax Pokemon. I think that would be cool. I just think, one, the max mushrooms is way too soon in a mechanic where not enough people have learned it, and it doesn't do the other thing. So I think if they held off on the max mushroom and they introduced it of, like, it can do this or it can do the max soup, which everyone wants, I think I would be less negative on it. But now,
do you really think that the max soup will make Pokemon Gigantamax? I think it'll just make Pokemon Dynamax. Because standard Pokemon can't Dynamax to begin with, and that's different and annoying.
The max soup made Pokemon Gigantamax.
In the main series game, but any Pokemon could in the main series game.
Yeah.
I think that I do wonder, like, if and maybe this is already known, but if the max mushroom was really, like, was going to come out this quickly, or, like, if it was the feedback of, like, how hard these were that they kind of rolled it out quicker than they were going to, because they were like, well, if nothing else, like, this gives them, like, a boost, like an attack boost. And I wonder if it was a little bit of, if they kind of changed plans a little bit. Because I do kind of agree. I do think that Max Soup will eventually come, but I do wonder if they want to roll out more Gigantamax Pokemon before then, just because I could see them wanting to do that. I don't know. I know, because this seems to be the mechanic, right? They want the Gigantamax Pokemon to be what people are going after. Like they're clearly going to be doing
Yeah,
this.
this
like,
is the
once a month.
gameplay loop.
Yeah, and so, but if you then introduce the Max Soup too early, like we have all these Dynamax Charmanders and Dynamax, Bulbasaurs and stuff. What's going to be the purpose of anybody going out and doing those Gigantamax raids if I can just turn my Dynamax Charmander into a Gigantamax Charmander right now? Right?
Correct.
It's going to stop people from going.
That's why I don't think Max Soup is here right now, is because they want people to establish the loop.
So I wonder if Max Mushrooms were like only are coming out as early as they are because people of how much feedback there was about how hard these raids were. Whereas like maybe that would have come out later and been more in line with Max Soup, but now it's like, oh well, we'll roll this out now, and then it gives people a chance to like have an attack boost in there with their Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised that they're coming out separately for all of those reasons. The gameplay loop isn't established enough for Max Soup to come out regardless of whether it turns Pokemon Dynamax or Gigantamax. Max Mushrooms, though, it does seem like what you're saying, Bobby, where they saw that people were struggling and either they want to help or they want to profit or both.
Yeah, well, it will profit.
The last thing I will say is for Fukuoka, the actual event for Wild Area, both nights in the park, they ended with a Toxtricity raid, Gigantamax, that you could join, and it went up to 600 people, and it worked. And it was by far, out of the 8 years of this game, one of like the top 3 moments in the game was to see 600 people do a Toxtricity raid. Now, I saw somebody like tweet like, oh my gosh, the raid scaled. It didn't. They're just lying. It did not scale. So I don't know why they thought that, or maybe there was slight scaling. Like maybe it just had more HP than like a normal one. But like it definitely didn't scale to like 600 people.
Right.
Now, when you join a raid, here's another tip. You can see, like, if 30 people join a raid, that number in the corner should be 90. And
right.
three times whatever the number is.
Yeah.
So when 600 people join, that number should be like 1,800, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when the boss is preparing for a big attack, that is usually when all of those Sobbles and Wooloos get one shot, right?
Yeah.
And like the Venusaurs and the Excadrills, they stay alive. The Metagrosses, they stay alive. Mm-hmm. So watching 1,800 people drop to 1,200 people instantly was like, oh, this boss just knocked out almost everyone with one attack.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason why I was like, I don't think this is scaling is because we did it relatively fast. Like we did it within one Gmax cycle.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, after the first Gmax, boss has like 40% HP or 35% HP, and then we finish it off before the second Gmax happens. But there was, again, I've done a lot of raids. I did a raid in, I don't even know where it was. It was somewhere in Ikebukuro, but like I was like on my way to the Pokemon Center, and only like 29, 30 people joined. And I was like, I don't know if we're going to do this because like it's like really early in the morning and like not near the Pokemon Center at all. So I was like, I don't know who's out here in the middle of nowhere doing this, like, because I'm like down some back alley, like none of the stores are open or anything. I'm just like, maybe I'll do this right along the way. And I remember that 30-person raid because we beat Toxtricity in one Gmax cycle, and after the first Gmax cycle, it only had 20% HP left. I don't know who was in that raid, but they killed it. They were so good. Like, everyone in the raid was doing exactly what they needed to do to, like, completely knock it out. So it's just funny to me that my 30-person raid at, like, 9 in the morning went faster than a 600-person raid in the park.
Yeah. That's wild.
Like, I that's why I'm a little bit jaded with this mushroom thing, because I just think if there's more education and there was like maybe a little bit more time in between. And I think how Niantic started it with 3 different Pokemon at once, I think there was just so many misses.
Yes.
And I feel like this item can benefit some. I don't want to disagree with you two. I think there will be some people that can benefit from it, but I think it will hurt more than it benefits. I think there will be people who buy this item and feel burned by it, or don't even have to buy it. Like, you don't even have to buy it to be like, this feels like a cash grab, and this feels gross.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
100%
it does.
agree. It does. And to your point, the starters, the way that they did the first 3, that threw me off of wanting to do Gigantamax raids. I didn't do them that weekend, but I saw everything that happened. And I didn't do the Gengar ones. I was like, I don't want to do this. It's not, and I wouldn't have done the Toxtricity. I literally, like I said at the beginning, I did not go into that weekend, wild area weekend, with like the thought of doing a Gmax Toxtricity raid. But I just happened to be at a big park with a lot of people, and there was one there. And because, there's no cost, right? Like, if you just walk up and you have your max particles that you already collected for the day, like, I didn't spend any money to do this Toxtricity raid, right? And I knew if I lost, I wasn't
Yeah,
gonna
you get your stuff back.
You get your stuff back. So there was that, like, there wasn't as much pressure to like, oh, I have to go in here and I have to win, or and doing that and winning made me feel like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. They really messed up the very first impression of this, because it was not a good first impression, and there are mistakes made. And to your point, like, max mushrooms, they're kind of expensive. People are going to be like, this is a cash grab. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to benefit me. I agree. I do agree. But I do think, like, over time, it will be different over time. But, I do think, like, your point, education would go a long way. Having some kind of, like, research that really made you, like, understand, like, okay, now you have to hit, like, even a little tutorial, like, now you have to hit max spirit and you can see how this works, or you have to, tap max guard and see how the mechanic works, would definitely be helpful. I just think that you could have that in addition to something like max mushrooms. Like, I think both have a place and both can be in the game together rather than one over the other.
Yeah. I mean, I think rocket radars are like the biggest scam in the world. Like, I've never purchased rocket radars.
Yeah.
But like, somebody out there loves them.
I actually am not convinced anyone does. I think there are people who buy them. I'm not sure anyone actually enjoys them.
So many of them from Community Day. I feel like the $1 Community Day things always give you like a rocket radar.
Yeah.
And so I always end up with
those $1 Community Days don't even have like a story anymore. Do you remember they used to have like a story?
Yeah,
Yep.
I know. They don't. They took that out. Now it's just
probably because like
research.
No one read it. I mean, not surprising. No one reads anything. That's why everyone's
the
bad
stories
at
are pretty good. The
They
stories
did-
are like they're cute little
can
stories.
be.
Like they're good if you follow along with them.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody was reading them.
I wish it was possible to go back and read the stories in your research history, so that if you missed something, you could just go back and click through it again.
That would be pretty cool.
Because they did
yeah.
try to have a story through line for a short time, and I was really excited about that. There was actually a coherent story between multiple, I don't even know if this was before seasons, I think it was around the beginning of that, but it was exciting, and then they completely dropped it.
Yeah. Well, Alola had a whole storyline, right? Because they switched out and then they had the Ultra Recon.
Yeah,
like,
they're doing the long research in that way.
Yeah. I think the person who wrote the community stories, I just don't think they work there anymore.
Yeah.
That
I don't
also
think
makes sense.
I don't think they got fired. I think they just got a different job.
Well, it is a bummer that the Community Day.
I know there was a bunch of
stories are gone.
layoffs for Niantic, but from my understanding, it wasn't anyone on the Pokemon Go team. It was like the NBA stuff and the other games, the Transformer stuff. It wasn't. I can't think of. No, I can't
There
think
were
of like
some.
two.
There
Yeah, I can
were,
think of
but
like
there
2 or
was
3.
Los
It was-
Angeles office stuff too, which is not related as much in that the development way as other things.
Yeah. Also, it's been like 8 months since the new avatars, and Niantic has not done anything to change them.
There were small changes.
They slightly changed things and didn't
There were
mention
very,
it. They just
very
made
small
very
changes.
subtle changes to things. But
the real long
yeah.
con from Niantic. if we just ignore it.
That is, yeah.
I'll buy a Max Mushroom when it comes out. As somebody who does a lot of raids, I do want to see, like, because you guys can be like, Steve, you're very privileged. You get to do 40-person raids. It's true, very true. So I would like to see if I feel like my 40-person raids are twice as fast, because ideally they should be, right, for $4.
Yeah.
So
Ideally, yes.
when they drop for Lapras, I will try it one time and I will report back. I don't think I'm going to be happy with it.
Yes, the results of a one-time try.
Well,
see.
was it? Doesn't it stay on for like 30 minutes? Right?
I guess, yeah.
I think that's what it does.
Is it-
I,
does it
I
that?
hope
Is
it's
it-
not $4 for one raid.
Is it 30 minutes? Is that what it is?
I thought it was just like a lucky egg or incense. I thought you turn
My
it
guess
on.
was that it was going to be for a single raid, but I haven't actually looked into it.
I'll do it. I'll do it for Lapras, and I will let you know. Because the thing about, like, gosh, I'm such a yapper. The thing about, like, raids, and I talked about this for Blastoise, is people will do, or the Kanto starters, is people will do, like, oh, I got one of each, I'm done, and then the group gets thinner. And then people are like, okay, I'm out of particles, or I'm out of raid passes, I'm done, and the group gets thinner.
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, the people who are left over are, like, the most hardcore people. Because I want to keep going.
Right.
So, not that I want to give Niantic money, but I'll try it.
Well, you also do. So there is also an event ticket for this Gigantamax raid day that's going to be on December 8th, from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock local. And for $5, there is a ticket.
For
And
$5.
you do get $5. You do get a Max Mushroom as well as 25,000 XP right off the top. And then there are bonuses, so you'll get 2 times XP from max battles, and then your max particle collection limit will be increased to 5,600 for the 3-hour Gigantamax raid period.
There we go.
So for $5, you get those.
I'm liking that.
bonuses.
I wish that it wasn't paid.
Yeah, it is just. Sorry, you also so back up a little bit. So they're also for this 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. time period, there are event bonuses that don't cost anything. It's just part of the event. So max particle collection will be increased to 1,600. All power spots will host Gigantamax Lapras. The power spots will refresh more frequently. So I'm guessing we'll have those like 20 or 30 minute.
Yeah, probably
changes.
every 30 minutes.
And then you'll get 8 times the max particles from power spots. So what do you usually get? 120 from a power spot. So you'd get, I don't want to do the math, whatever that is.
You said 8 times?
8 times. So that would
Probably
be
just like a flat 800.
960.
Yeah. But Lapras will be 800. So ultimately, you're paying $5 to do
Yeah.
what, like 6 Lapras, assuming you started the day with 0 particles.
Some of those were the free bonuses, though.
Yeah.
Which I am liking seeing them move more in the direction of a raid day where they're giving people free raid passes. They're providing people more free max particles, and I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I agree.
And last thing, if you go to the web store, because they always want you to like leave the app and like go to the web store to buy things rather than through the app, there is a double feature ticket box. So for $7, you'll get the Gigantamax Lapras ticket, and you get the Aspiring Dragons Research Day ticket together for $7 from the web store. So I'm sure that'll be a little bit cheaper than if you bought them separately. If you're going to buy both, go to Niantic's web store because they love when you do that.
And 10% kickback goes to Bobby if you do that. So just
No.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll do the Scarlet and Violet schedule for the rest of the year. We will be right back. And we are back from our break. I'm pretty sure we talked about Shiny Rayquaza, right? It's been 2 weeks.
Yes. We talked
We
about
didn't
it,
have
but
details.
it wasn't announced the way they wanted it to be announced.
Yeah.
At that
Oh,
time.
yes. It was announced via the
Store of some kind.
Yes, it was like early in the store because I got the flyer that was
Yeah.
when I went to every Pokemon Center, they put that flyer that then was released early in every one of my bags, which is the like mythical distribution for Deoxys, Keldeo, and Zarude for the points. And then it was the flyer for the Rayquaza. It was like all in. Yeah, so we have details now. Shiny Rayquaza will appear in 5-star raids from December 20th, which the dates were right, to January 5th. It will be Dragon type Terra. You can catch one, like you can always catch one. 5-star raids are level 75. I'll put a little asterisk there because maybe they changed things for this, but like Walking Wake, Dialga Palkia, those were 5-star raids. All 5-star raids are level 75, so ideally should be level 75. They are doing other events leading up to it. So there will be during the Shiny Rayquaza event from Friday, December 20th to Sunday, January 5th. Shiny Citadel, Shiny Carbink, Shiny Fracture more likely to appear in outbreaks. And then to prepare for the event, they're doing what is called raid-worthy Pokemon. So leading up to Shiny Rayquaza's appearance, a variety of Pokemon that are popular choices for Terra raid battles will appear in 5-star raids. This will be, currently as we're recording this, Corviknight and Bellibolt. And then from Friday, December 6th to Thursday, December 12th, Azumarill and Clodsire. And then from December 13th through December 19th, Annihilate and King Gambit. So those will be featured. And then during that, there will be 3 different mass outbreaks. Not to be confused with the Citadel, Fracture, Carbink I just talked about, because those will be during Rayquaza specifically. But as we're recording this, Tinka-Tink with the Ferocious mark will appear until Thursday, December 5th. Wooper in Kitakami. Tinka-Tink will be in Paldea with the Absent-Minded mark from Friday, December 6th to the December 12th. And then Girafarig in the Blueberry Academy with the Intellectual mark from the 13th through the 19th. And then leading up, Chansey will appear in mass outbreaks throughout the Paldea region, and that will be from Friday, November 29th to January 5th. Just Chansey in Paldea if you want to knock a bunch of those out for either the candy or the materials, the experience, that kind of stuff. And that will take us to the start of the year. So mass outbreak every week, 5-star raids every week, and then that will eventually get us to Rayquaza, which is a 5-star raid. Unfortunately, not a 7-star raid. I wanted it to be a 7-star raid because I just liked the Mewtwo. I liked the challenge. As we just had an hour talking about Gmax raids in Pokemon Go, not everyone likes a challenge, you know. But that's fine. Like I wonder if they saw how many people struggled with Mewtwo.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we want people to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's maybe why. Or maybe it was always planned to be a 5-star. But I guess like the actual bummer is just not the Mighty Mark.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know how much harder it would be if you take its level from 75 to 100. But then you're just like, I just want the Mighty Mark, like Rayquaza with a Mighty Mark. Shiny Rayquaza with a Mighty Mark just seems really rad. It could have some sort of mark to celebrate the anime or something. That hasn't been said, although I feel like they've never like surprised us with a mark. up to this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we think we'll get any other information about it prior to it, or is this it? Like, this is what we're getting for Shiny Rayquaza. No more info to come. I mean, in the past,
This kind of seems like the info dump.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
This also
right
kind
off
of seems like the grand finale.
the
Potentially.
epilogue.
Just what do we think? Do we think they're going to be doing more raids after this?
I think there's definitely an opportunity to repeat Walking Wake and Iron Leaves because people are going to get the game for Christmas.
Yeah.
And so repeat that. I do still suspect there will be a gouging fire. Sorry.
There you go.
I love to gorge. Gorging fire and a raging bolt. Like, I do think those would come to raids as well. I don't think they're done with raids. I still think there's an opportunity because we don't have double legendaries yet for VGC. When January comes, we'll go to Regulation G, which is one legendary, restricted, allowed. So I have hope that the Force of Nature, specifically with Enamorus, comes to raids, just like Dialga and Palkia. And they do that. I can definitely see them repeating raids, right? Like, we've gotten Charizard twice, we've gotten Pikachu twice. I actually really surprised there was no Eevee for Eevee Week. They kind of really didn't do anything for Eevee Week at all.
In Scarlet and Violet, yeah.
Like, last year it was like Pokemon Go and I think Masters and Unite. Like, I don't even think Unite did anything.
I think they did. I think they gave Evolution passes to people, is what I saw. But Masters definitely did.
They made a bigger deal of it last year.
Yeah, it was bigger last year, but I think that was mostly Scarlet and Violet. This year, Masters definitely did, and Sleep definitely did, and I think Unite did as well.
Yeah, I don't think they're done. Like, there has to be a Pokemon Day thing as well, right? Even when Scarlet and Violet were out, there was still Glastrier and Spectrier in Sword and Shield while Scarlet and Violet was out. Like, they still kind of ran raids till the very end of that game. Even after the fact, when everyone was done, they were like, here's a random Urshifu raid. And you're like, I can't catch these, but like, I guess I'll do Urshifu. So I don't think they're done with raids. I think this is a really good way to end the year, though. But like, that kind of lines up with the anime. So timing wise, it's what I've always suspected, that they would put Shiny Rayquaza pretty close to the Japanese anime, because boy, we're still far behind in the American.
Yeah. We at least have the release date for the next season.
Yeah. I'll still put like raid counters out on YouTube. I think even though it's level 75, just it's funny because we just had a conversation about people struggling in Pokemon Go with raids. But I personally saw a lot of people struggle with Dialga and Palkia. I saw people struggle with Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, even though those were level 75. Rayquaza will have Dragon Ascent to ascend.
Yes.
Which is not a dragon type move. It is a flying type move.
Yes.
And it's very strong. And even though Fairy would be very good against Rayquaza, because it's a dragon type, and Fairy doesn't get hit by dragon, a lot of fairies are not resistant to a flying type stab move, especially when Rayquaza can learn Swords Dance, it can learn Bulk Up, it can learn Dragon Dance. I think it can learn Bulk Up. Dragon Dance and Swords Dance, though. So I think there will still be somewhat of a challenge, although, again, probably not nearly as hard as Mewtwo. So I'll make a bunch of counters. That should be up on YouTube probably within this week for that. I do want to point out, and we'll probably talk about this in the future, because Pokemon put out a bunch of like here's everything after 2 years, like most caught, most used on a team, favorite gym leaders and stuff. The one I want to just focus on for today's episode, because we're really running along, is the Terra Pokemon most challenged in raid battles. And so the top 5, which I think are really interesting, is Charizard, Ditto, Eevee, Blissey, and Cinderace. Now, 3 of those were 7-star raids, but Eevee kind of gets a weird pass because it was the first week of the game where they put Eevee in every raid.
Yeah, with every Terra type, right? So you were like, I remember that, trying to collect every one of the
So
Terra types.
if you remove Eevee from the equation, you only have Charizard and Cinderace, which are the most rated Pokemon. The first 2 7 stars. Which to me is shocking because Mewtwo ran for over a month. Like, Charizard did have 2 cycles, right? Or, well, 2 weeks, but like 4 weeks total to like two full cycles. Cinderace was only around for 2 weeks, and it was top 5. Mewtwo was around for a month plus, and you got a Mew to counter it, and it was not most rated?
Do you remember what month that was?
Mewtwo was August
Of
not this last year, not this year, but last year.
Right.
It was like August into September, where Cinderace was like January-ish. Because like Cinderace was after Charizard, and Charizard was December. But like obviously more people playing when the game first comes out.
Yeah.
Well, also August of 2023.
Yes, for Mewtwo.
Okay. Was
Yeah,
that
so one DLC was out already, which was...
When did Zelda come out?
Oh, you think this is a Zelda thing? No, I genuinely think it was because Mewtwo was too hard.
Okay. I was thinking
Yeah,
it
I
was just
think
because
that's
people were
part of
busy
it.
playing another really, really big game a couple months after it came out, might have just detracted people from playing these raids.
I like... Greninja
Tears of the
is...
Kingdom came out in May.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was a Zelda thing. I think...
Could have been a factor.
Maybe
I think
for
you
you.
have Ditto, you have Eevee, Charizard, Cinderace, which are like the first 3 promoted raids in the game, for sure. Greninja was after Cinderace. There's a third one, and Greninja way more popular than Cinderace. Not saying Cinderace isn't a popular Pokemon, but Greninja would probably beat Charizard in a lot of contests, at least in Japan. But like Greninja, what I'm saying is Greninja is incredibly popular, like
Yes.
busted popular.
Yeah.
And Greninja didn't even make the list. So just speculation. I feel like they probably saw Mewtwo had so much more time than these other raids. Didn't even make the top 5. Difficulty for sure a factor. And like just really Mewtwo set up, like I love the Mewtwo raid. Don't get me wrong. I think there are people listening to the podcast that love the Mewtwo raid. I think there were people that were very glad they got it done, had no desire to do it again. But I thought the Mewtwo raid was a really fun puzzle to figure out. I loved helping people go through it. But like I like raid content. So like when I played Destiny for 3 years straight, I'd be like, I already have these rewards. I don't even need to do this raid. But I did the raid because like my enjoyment was like helping other people get through it and being like, oh, I did it. Like, thank you so much for helping me. And that was like my dose of serotonin. I was like, yeah, like little Jimmy over here got through that.
And that's
Little
why
Jimmy
I
over
would buy the Max Mushroom. Because I also like helping people get through raids. Now I'll stop.
I'm going to raid with Hannah more often just so I get the benefit of her buying the mushroom for
No,
me.
because we would win even without that.
That's true. But I do kind of think like maybe this was supposed to be like 7-star mighty Rayquaza, and then they looked at these numbers and were like, maybe we want people to like actually complete this and like feel good and like go through. And that's fine. Like I would, I'm selfish. I want a Mighty Mark Rayquaza. I think that would be very cool. That's what I hope for. But like, if more people can do the Rayquaza, that's good. Like people should be able to jump in and ideally find a team, and if they can't, ideally, hopefully, have an Arcanine and a Staraptor stand next to them so they can intimidate spam and be able to get the raid done.
Hopefully, it being 5-star instead of 7-star will actually bring more people back too.
Yeah.
Right. So
you also have it being 5-star gives people who haven't beaten the game the opportunity to get it as well in their own without having to do something online, right?
Is that true?
Or would they still have
no,
to?
5-stars don't appear until at least you beat the academy.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And then 6 stars would be when you do credits, a couple 5 stars. Wait, yeah,
No.
I don't think 5 stars appear at all until at least you have all 8 gym badges or something like that.
Okay, got it.
Because the game scales in at least the sense of like you'll only see 1 or 2 stars, and then when you get farther, you'll start seeing 3. Obviously, you could be like no gym badges and join somebody's 5-star or 7-star. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That still works as long as you have a code. But there is a point in the game where like 5 stars are unlocked, and then once you meet Ed Sheeran and then beat all the
you need
gym
to
leaders
finish
again.
the game's 3 storylines as well as the way home storyline.
To get the 5-star, that's been so long.
Yep.
So okay.
That's why I looked it up.
Once you unlock it, it's like it's just there. Let me tell you, when you put like 600 hours into Pokemon and then you're like restart and you're like, wow, none of that. Well, I take everything for granted.
You can't fly.
Yeah, a lot of Scarlet and Violet stuff for that. And then Pocket, I wanted to spend more time on Pocket, but we did have 2 very heavy Pocket episodes. But reading the comments over the last 2 weeks, people like the Pocket Talk. So that's good because I like talking about Pocket. There's a current event happening right now. Literally, it started last night, where if you have the premium pass, Hannah, I think yours expired. Or are you still good?
I am considering because it seems like these roll over every 2 months. I'm considering buying the premium pass every other month.
I saw people talk about that.
Yeah.
So premium pass just updated, where there's like a Pikachu coin, a Pikachu playmat, Mewtwo. I bought everything for Mewtwo when it came out, where it's like if you complete all the premium, you get exactly enough currency to buy everything. Mm-hmm. And it seems the same here, where like you do all the tasks, you'll have enough to get the Mewtwo card, the Pikachu playmat, the Pikachu coin. I wonder if there's ever a reason to like not buy something. So what I mean is like I don't care about the binder, so if I don't buy the binder, I'll have that currency for the next premium.
It looks like if you get behind, like if you miss out on one of them, because the Mewtwo stuff is all still available. So if you're only starting to play the game now, you would have to make some decisions. But because of all of us have been playing since day one.
I see what you're saying. Because I'm just like, I just don't really care about the binder stuff right now. And it's so maybe I don't need to buy it because I'm never going to like use it.
You will when it's unavailable one day.
So that event is happening right now. And then the second promo event is happening right now with the Venusaur, the new drop event. So that is the Venusaur, the Greninja, the Haunter, the Jigglypuff, and the Onix. And this is the Jigglypuff we were talking about 2 weeks ago, the really good Jigglypuff that you would want to put in your deck for Wigglytuff to make the Wigglytuff stuff a little stronger. I don't think that moves like Wigglytuff into like an S tier deck. I think your 2 S tier decks are still consistently Pikachu and Mewtwo. But There's 5 promo cards. I think somebody did like the percentage distribution where like this Venusaur seems a little bit easier to get than the Lapras.
Makes sense since it's just a Venusaur. It's not a Venusaur EX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful looking card, but it's not an EX card.
Yeah. So I have a small rant, but before I get there, are you guys still playing Pocket? Are you still enjoying it? Bobby, how much money have you put in?
I have not been putting in nearly as much money since I got through a lot of the stuff. I'm about 6 cards short of like the full genetic Apex set minus the secret rares. I have a bunch of the secret rares I still have to get, but about 6 cards short of the regular like original 226 cards of the set. And played through the last PvP event. That ended just a few days ago. Got through my 50 wins, and then definitely didn't play as much of the PvP after that, just because that event wasn't going on. But definitely still like trying out different decks, having a lot of fun, just trying different stuff out. I do, like we talked about before, I still really appreciate that there's not like a win-loss record. So you can kind of try a bunch of stuff out, and if you take some losses, it's not like I have to be like, oh, I'm racking up a bunch of losses right now while trying a bunch of stuff out. So that's been fun. And yeah, I was glad to see this Venusaur event come through because it's nice to have another solo event to do, and fun to play with different decks. Although I've just been using like Ninetales Rapidash a lot now, and it's really fun to play with.
I feel like
Ninetales.
it's the majority of what people are using.
Yeah, and Ninetales is so fun to play with because you can set it up quick, 2 energy to do 90 damage, and then you throw those Blaine cards on top that do 30 damage more.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun deck to play. So I am definitely still enjoying it. Was more on the just opening packs for a little while between events, but jumping more into battling again. Yeah, all around love it, and not going to stop playing it anytime soon. So it's great.
Hannah is now Max Mushroom Queen and possible premium pass giver.
Don't like that. Don't like any of that. Haven't bought any of it yet. I did do the premium pass trial. It was fine. It ended. I don't feel like I am getting significantly less without it, but I do like the extra items you can get, the extra accessories you can get, so maybe I'll start to get it for at least a couple of months and see how that goes, and then maybe I'll just decide to only get the premium pass when I like the accessories.
Mm-hmm.
But the game itself, I mentioned earlier, I think I've been opening it more than any of the other Pokemon mobile games recently. I really enjoy it. I didn't get the 50 wins in the PvP. I didn't quite lean into that, but I got the 25. I think I got 32 altogether.
Oh, nice.
I have a deck that I think is unique and fun, and I really enjoy playing. And I was kind of starting to feel the event stuff slow down, and then they brought the Venusaur event in. So really feeling good about where it's at.
There's supposed to be what they said. They came out, and then they said there was like the special set coming out in December.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we have an exact date for that.
No, but cool of them to come out and say that, though. That was nice of them to come out and say, hey, we have stuff coming. Like, new set coming.
There's 2 things I want to talk about, and hopefully that doesn't take too much time. I think they're similar things, and I don't know why this conversation keeps happening. I don't. It's the pay to win conversation, and it is the whale conversation, because I guess technically we had an episode that was pay to win, and then we had an episode that was a whale episode. And there were a couple comments. Like I try to read all the comments. I shadow ban a couple people every episode. It's been great, but the thing I don't get is the people like trying to justify that you can't whale in this game or you can't pay to win in this game, because maybe they have their own like definitions of that, which I don't fully understand. So a really good example is Like, I was talking about how the game was pay to win on my stream. I think we've talked about how it's pay to win here, and I think everyone agrees that it is pay to win. It's fine because it's no different than Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, any little trading card
Any
game
TCG.
is pay to win.
Absolutely.
That's not to say. So first clarification is sometimes there is decks that are very good that are incredibly cheap. That is a real thing. And then sometimes the deck that is really good is just expensive. And the one I always bring up is the one that I considered buying for a big tournament, which is Mewtwo EX, Darkrai EX. It was 4 Mewtwo EX, 4 Darkrai EX. That was the deck that won the national tournament. I think it ended up winning Worlds that year too. But it was $80 for each Mewtwo. You needed 4. It was $80 for each Darkrai. You needed 4. And those the worst part about me explaining that is both of those cards ended up in collector tins 2 months afterwards for $15 each.
Yeah.
So it's not even like I'm spending $80 and these are the cards I'm going to be using for the next 6 months. It was I'm spending $80 and they're going to be completely worthless in 2 months because they're going in $15 tins. So could you beat that Mewtwo deck and Darkrai deck? Possibly, but you didn't because they were the ones that won. And they were expensive decks. So I was in Japan the last 2 weeks, and I was sitting next to somebody who I will say was not very good at the trading card game. I was watching them play Pocket. I was editing the podcast on the Shinkansen, and I was watching them play, and they really wanted the 45 wins. And they were losing a lot. And a lot of that was not really, it was just they were playing badly. And I don't want to like backseat them and be like, why'd you put that energy there? But they asked me to like look at their decks. And I like looked at them and I was like, yeah, you're missing cards for this one. This is what I would tweak. You're missing cards for this one. And they were like, well, what do you play? And I was like, I play Pikachu. And they were like, well, what is that? I was like, it's like 2 Pikachu EXs, like 2 Zapdos EXs, and then I run like Electrode. And they were like, I don't have any Electrode. I have 1 Zapdos. I don't have any Pikachu. And I was like, yeah, that sucks. You can open 1 pack in like 5 hours. And they were like, I just want to win and get this over with. And they just dropped $100. And they just ripped Pikachu packs. And they pulled the Electrode. They pulled the 2 Zapdos. They pulled 1 Pikachu. And then they used their pack points and they bought another Pikachu.
Yep.
And I want to say, I don't think they were very good at battling. But they dropped $100 and they started winning. Because Pikachu is really easy to pilot, and it's a very good deck. It's just good. It's just good. And they felt very justified in their $100. Like they were having a good time. They were winning way more. They had fun with the deck genuinely. And if that is not an instance of pay to win, I don't know what to tell you. Now, that's not to say you could, as a free-to-play player, pull 2 Pikachu cards, pull Electrodes or Zebstrikos or whatever you want to put, pull Zapdos. I won all 45 of my matches with 1 Zapdos. I didn't have 2 Zapdos. I only had 1. Would it have been easier if I had a second Zapdos? Yeah. Did I have enough pack points to get another Zapdos? I did, but I was like, I'm going to save my pack points for something. But, like, just because you got lucky and you got the cards you needed for a deck doesn't discredit that the game is not pay to win. It is
yeah. Yeah. Even looking at pack points, the fact that you can buy cards to eventually get the number of pack points you would need to get the exact cards you want. That alone.
Now, if they were a better player, and I really don't want to like drag on their playstyle, but if they were genuinely a better player, they probably could have used any deck.
Right.
But I think the point being is like when you have a really good deck, you will win more often and you will get your results faster. And the only way they could have gotten that deck was by putting money in and hoping they pulled the right cards.
At least that quickly. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun for me. I got to watch somebody open $100 worth of cards going like 200 miles an hour on a train. It was kind of cool. Hey, but they got their 45 wins. The other thing is it goes like same, like hand in hand is like people also saying like, so some people saying like, oh, the game's like not pay to win because they didn't have that experience. But then it's like some people are saying, well, the game, you can't whale in this game because they happen to pull 3 gold Mewtwo's. And so they got the whale items. But again, just because you got lucky doesn't mean that the whale items don't exist. Like, I don't think Erica is a whale item, the Rainbow Erica stuff, because I spend, what, it was $30, $25? Everyone spent the same amount of money and got exactly what that was. Like, you purchased exactly what that was. That's what it, I guess you could call it a whale item, but like,
Yeah.
but with the black and white stuff, the play mat, the coin, I can't just buy that, right? Like,
Well,
even
not directly.
exactly, which is what makes it a whale item. So
Yeah.
like, I got a $100 gift card from the Pokemon company. I put it in, right? I bought the Erica stuff with it, and then I still have gold, but like I opened probably 60, 70 packs, right? So I'm at like 1,200 cards opened. Even if I was to crush all my extras, I don't think I would have enough to buy all of the classic black and white stuff, right? You just don't get enough. You get so many. You can buy everything with one Mewtwo crushed, one gold Mewtwo being crushed. That's why
I'm
we
so
use
close. I just need one more.
right. So like Hannah did not put $100 in,
I have
Not
put
that I know of.
$0 in so far.
and you have 2 gold Mewtwo's.
Yes.
I have technically put $100 in. I have no gold cards at all.
Same.
Nothing. I have none of them.
Someone
So
in our Slack got a pack with 2 gold Mewtwo's in one single god pack,
that's crazy awesome.
and already had a gold Mewtwo, so they could get the whole.
So if I wanted the black and white playmat, the only option I can do is put money in and whale to get that. That's why it's a whale item. Like if I want Erica, I can just buy it. It's right there. It's a set price. It's available to me. I can just buy it and move on. But these items are designed for people to be like, I want this. How do I get this? I need to crush cards. I don't have enough cards to crush. I'm going to buy cards and then get that. And again, I am sure there's somebody out there who has never put a dime into this game who have 3 gold Mewtwo's. Hannah might be the first person, but I think somebody beat her
someone
to
in
that.
our Slack already beat me.
But did that person put no money in?
I think it sounded like they may have put money in, just not into that pack.
So you may be the first that we know of that doesn't put any money
Then
in.
maybe I shouldn't buy the premium pass.
But that doesn't mean that they're not whale items. They're still whale items.
Yeah.
And there will be more of there's no way that these are going to be the only items that you can get with
No.
whatever special tickets, like, right? And that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with like the pay to win mentality of a TCG because that's just what it is. I used to play competitively. I don't have a problem with like the whaling stuff. Like everything in Pocket is not unique to Pocket. They have existed in like Simpsons Tapped Out, Clash Royale, Apex Legends, Fortnite. Like nothing here is exclusive. It's all just things they've learned from other games, like Pokemon Masters, even because it's the same company, that they know that the whales of this game will carry all of the free-to-play players. That's how every free-to-play game operates. That they need whale mechanics so those players can whale to then support everyone who is playing for free.
Right.
Which is Hannah. We need Bobby to whale so Hannah can play for free. Although the Black
I'll
Friday
remind you,
deals are kind of good.
I have no gold cards. I have one immersive card. I have 2 immersive cards, but one I got for completing a mission. I've pulled 1 immersive card. I've pulled no gold cards. I've opened many packs.
I think I'm at like 1,400 cards right now.
I'm about to hit 1,400 cards. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm right up there. Right about there as well.
And when you watch somebody drop $100 next to you, they went from 1,000 to 1,400 real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pulled my second gold Mewtwo and then I opened 100 packs right after it.
So you're at 500 cards.
Yeah.
Probably a little over with promos, with like beating
Yeah,
promo
with all the
stuff
promo
and
cards
wonder
and the
picks.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say real quick about the Venusaur drop event. Really cool that they put so what they did before this Venusaur drop event was they did a fire type wonder pick event. And so it was like Arcanine EX, and there was kind of a lot, like you had some different tasks and missions to complete, but really it revolved around every once in a while you got these free wonder picks that would include a fire type Pokemon or a Blaine trainer card and then some other items. And then all of the wonder picks you would do also, like there were more fire type Pokemon included on the wonder picks. And then every once in a while you'd have this rare wonder pick that was like all these fire types that were rare. But it was a really good move to do this wonder pick event with Blaine and these fire types, and then have this Venusaur event where all these decks are weak to fire right afterwards. It's kind of just a cool little, because there wasn't a whole lot to the fire type wonder pick event. It was really
it was
just
probably the weakest one they've done so far.
Yeah, it was just come in and wonder
It was
pick.
also
and,
an event where you could very easily not get the chase card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I never got the Arcanine.
Yeah, neither did
yeah,
I.
that's a bummer.
I saw it once on Wonder Pick, and I was like, there's plenty of time, and then I never saw it again.
Oops.
I saw it once on Wonder Pick, and I got the Arcanine the one time I did it, so I was like,
Nice.
yay, that worked. But that was, there wasn't much to that event. But then when followed with the Venusaur drop event, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't have Blaine cards before. I just picked up Blaine cards. It makes this Ninetales Rapidash deck better. I picked up more Ninetales. Like, it worked out really well, and it was just like a nice touch to have that little event beforehand.
I only have one Blaine in my entire collection. I should wail for another Blaine.
Yeah.
I mostly pulled on Mewtwo, so I never really pulled on. I think Blaine is a Charizard.
Yeah.
I had a portion of time where I was going heavy on the Charizard side, so I picked up a bunch of Blaines and some grass stuff as well.
Now I'm just like eyeing Wonder Pick as a hawk, being like, "Is there a Blaine in here? Can I get like a cheap Blaine? I don't want to use my pack points on Blaine."
I've been using Wonder Pick to get the cards from the other packs other than Mewtwo, because I'm only pulling Mewtwo packs to look for that third gold Mewtwo.
That's crazy.
So I've been using Wonder Pick to get the Charizard and Pikachu cards.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting all the cards, this will be our last thing. A player on Reddit, they completed the entire game so far. They got the little stamp saying, "Congratulations, you've collected every card in this expansion." They put in $1,500 to do that. And then I think to get the Mew, because they said completing base card decks, which I think is just the $150 to get Mew. They said that was about $200. They opened 1,741 packs, collecting 8,582 cards. There is no reward for doing that. They got 4 gold cards at the time, and they did not get the Pikachu gold cards, so they actually used their points to buy the Pikachu to complete their collection. They got 0 God packs, which technically they are under odds since a God pack is 1 in 2,000. Collecting the final 3 full art cards took the most amount of time, which makes sense. Venusaur, Gengar, Machamp. Full art Machamp was the final card. They reached level 47 after collecting their final card. Because obviously you go up in level the more packs you open. And the max level in the game currently is 50. Not that that matters. You don't get anything for that.
Have they really completed the game if they're not at the max level, though?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You should leave that comment on there. You should leave that comment. I also think, again, being annoyed at people not understanding whaling or free to play, or sorry, not free to play, pay to win. I saw a bunch of people being like, I didn't put any money in, and I'm at 220 out of how many cards are in it? 256 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
But
250 something.
That's the easy part. The hard part is the last 5 cards you're missing.
Yeah, this is it's interesting to see the stats on that, because it's actually very similar to a physical Pokemon card set. Like if you go in
One data point with how much randomization there is.
No, I'm saying that data point it's funny because
Yeah.
that's actually on par with the average of the data points of a regular TCG set in the real like physical TCG. You're going to open similar amount of packs to pull an entire set. And it's not because it's all because it takes so much to like randomly pull one of those rare cards. You're going to end up with a ton of duplicates of like the EX cards or even like some of the like full arts. But that's going to take, then it's like pulling that one super rare card. Like in this case, they ended up having to use pack points to essentially
For Pikachu.
The gold Pikachu. You see that just time and time again. So it's just fun. It's funny to see like this digital game, and it seems the mechanics are working in a very similar fashion too.
Yeah, because there's
the
no
TCG.
there's like no pity in the game.
Right, right.
I saw another post of somebody
that.
saying that they did the same thing, although it wasn't as detailed. So I don't know, but they said they completed the entire game at $700, which like believable, totally.
Yeah.
Like
It's
just RNG.
yeah.
But thank you to your service, Weens for life. Thank you for keeping this game afloat. Thank you for paying so none of us else have to.
Yeah. Seriously.
As free-to-play players. I'm not really a free-to-play player.
You're not free to What are you talking about?
I think there's a lot of free-to-play players listening. They appreciate your services of keeping this game alive. That's crazy, though. I can't imagine putting that much money in. I think I've put that much money in Pogo, but over 8 years. This game has been out for less than 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go no comment.
I feel like my strategy would be, now that I'm probably like 30 or 40 cards away from finishing it as well. Because again, it's pretty easy to get like the first 200 because a lot of them are just commons or whatever. I feel like my strategy would just be patience in Wonder Pick.
Mm-hmm.
And just like fish for what I'm missing in Wonder Pick. I'm still pretty hesitant about using pack points, but
Yeah.
You can't get everything through Wonder Pick though.
Right.
yeah, like
You
the
can't
gold
get
cards.
the gold or the immersives. Or even can you get full arts? You can't get
I
2-star
don't think
cards.
you
2-star
can.
and above, you can't
Yeah.
get through. You can only get 1-star and then all the 4 diamonds and below in Wonder Pick.
Yeah.
So
that's why I
yeah,
would save my pack points for those and not use my pack points on like. Well, the only time I used pack points was for Gardevoir, so I could finish my Mewtwo deck, so I could slam people online. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, because just the pack points are specifically for this set. So, unlike the hourglasses, the pack hourglasses, which it's like at this point, I'm now getting the hourglasses. And before I was just spending them. I was just trying to complete the set, just spending them to open packs. And now it's like that thought of like, oh, there's a new set coming out in December. Like, do I save my hourglasses for that set? But pack points, that's for genetic apex. So like, don't be saving on the pack points to think like, oh, for a future set. No, those pack points are, as far as we know, they're only for genetic apex. So, I don't foresee that going away, genetic apex going away anytime soon. But it seems to be set specific for those points.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay. I know there was more news that we did not get to, like the Pokemon Sleep stuff. Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, we can tackle that stuff next week. So that's the plan. And I think as we get closer to Christmas, should be like less and less news. Ideally, as companies are taking vacations or time off. But hey, maybe something in Scarlet and Violet will break, and then they'll have to like repeat the raids. Wasn't that like Great Tusk and Iron Treads like Baroque raids or something?
Yeah, that's right. They had like 3 different events of that because one of them broke or something.
Yeah. And the first Walking Wake Iron Leaves also broke, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe something like that will happen.
Something will break.
Not.
Something will always break.
I'm sure. Thank you for making it to the end. It was a super long episode. If you made it to the end, let me know in the comments on YouTube how much money you've spent in Pokemon TCG Pocket. I would like to know. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Hannah. We will be back next week. And I think I'm done traveling for the year, so very excited to not be on an airplane. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Hannah. We will see you guys next week. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
super effective.
Super discussions about max mushrooms. Yep.
No more. No more.